April 15th.
Let's see here. Okay.
Open up the Norfolk County Advisory Board Finance Committee meeting of Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. Reading this executive order.
Yeah, I have to read that because we have to Zoom.
Okay. So executive order on remote participation on March 28, 2025. Governor Haley signed into law H62, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the emergency, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30, chapter 18, section 18-45. The act was effective immediately, suspending the current option for remote meetings through June 30th, 2027. So at this point, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. And who do we have on? We have Joe.
Dr. Charles.
We have Dr. Child remotely. We have myself.
Gus Warby here. Eric Beckerman here.
Eric, okay.
So we do have a quorum.
We have a floor. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, presentation of the FY 2027 proposed county budget. I'll refer that to Mr. Crone.
Thank you, Chair Fitzgerald. Good afternoon, members of the Finance Committee. As I have done in the past, I propose a couple of different venues to observe our preparation and presentation of this budget. I'm going to start with the slide deck presentation that Bill's pulling up right now, which is part of the packet. Following this, what I'll call 1,000-foot view, I'll be happy to go through the budget. I've called out approximately 11 areas in the budget, which we'll go through, and then of course entertain any questions. Will that be all right with you, Mr. Chair?
Perfect.
Beginning with the agenda, Bill, please. So we're going to go over the budget development, revenue picture, retirement liability projection, and some highlights at the end briefly. So as you can see on slide 3, we're at the back end of the budget development that began on January 7th. Between now and May 13th, the advisory board will hear what the county commissioners have publicly voted on relative to the content of this budget. Slide 4, Bill. From a revenue perspective, the county's budget presentations by the department heads and so forth work began, as I mentioned, in January. And we, at that time, began assessing the projected revenue model for FY2027. And based on those trends from prior years and continuing into this year.
The screen had gone blank.
Was it blinking?
No, it had gone blank for a second.
All right.
It's back now.
That's good. Based on trends from previous years and continuing into this year, adjustments were made mainly to our deeds excise, which we are projecting up $225,000 into next year. The Wallace and Recreational Facility continues its annual tracking of running a surplus over cost. The course closed calendar year 25 with a nearly $200,000 revenue improvement from the prior year. The commissioners approved a new fee schedule for the upcoming calendar year 26 golf season that, coupled with new recurring revenue-based results from last year, provided an increased revenue projection in FY27 of $180,000. The county is also projecting its first revenue from the Aggie Solar Project. The North Street project is proceeding and is expected to be activated in September/October of this year, resulting in approximately $50,000. Next slide, Bill. The revenue that is trending down, obviously the Quincy District Court is shown under miscellaneous receipts. We're showing a loss of $420,000 as we Anticipate closure of that facility in September of 2026. The Computer Access Fund and the Quincy District Court parking revenue are also seeing decreased revenue projections for next year. And although the amount of revenue shown from ARPA interest is up from FY26, the additional $813,000 is being drawn from this interest account, which will have a balance remaining of approximately $380,000. This one-time revenue is a factor that's considered unfavorable. It's non-recurring revenue, and I'm going to get into sort of the dynamic of how that plays with our annual budget in just a moment. Overall, the county's reliable revenue base is stable. However, continued pressure from healthcare and retirement liability obligations require the use of these non-recurring revenue sources in FY27 and likely stabilization funds for FY28 to FY33 to balance the county's budget until the retirement obligation itself is paid in FY33. Slide 6. FinCom members, just please spend a few minutes on this slide with me if you could. It should look vaguely familiar. I moved to open this conversation earlier this fiscal year with the commissioners and with your board to paint a picture that shows the stress of the County of Norfolk's retirement liability costs growing and leveling, if you will, between now and FY33. These obligations present quite a stress as the increases in continued costs outpace our revenue growth. I want to just walk you through what you see on this screen. Up in the left-hand corner, you'll see the FY27 County of Norfolk retirement payment schedule of $3.414 million. That's the cost in your budget this coming year. Traveling eastward to FY28, the cost will go up to $3.537, followed by a dip in FY29, a return to about 3.4 in FY30, 3.5 in 31, 3.6 in 32, and then finally almost 3.8 in the final year, FY33. These costs are provided by the Norfolk County Retirement System. We don't have any influence on them. I'm projecting non-recurring revenue to help balance the county's budget over the next several years, absent any other influences that shows, for example, in FY27, a draw of $1.5 million from the ARPA interest account. And as I said, the remaining balance is inadequate to cover FY28 costs. So beginning in FY28, the county, I project, will have to draw approximately $1.1 million from stabilization. If you carry that forward all the way to FY33, based on our projected stabilization balance of $7.2 million, we'll be deficient. We'll have insufficient funds come FY33, the last year of this payment process. So in order to achieve some idea of balance and commitment to resolving this challenge, I'm making a recommendation that the county commit to a minimum of $250,000 per year contribution to the stabilization fund over the next several years to help close that projected $1.2 million gap. Mm-hmm. Later, you're going to hopefully take a vote to move money into the stabilization fund, which will exceed that $250,000 in years where it's possible. I strongly recommend you do that. We are showing a model here that presents to you the challenge of only one stressor, the retirement liability. What this does not capture, and you all know this from your communities, are healthcare costs, which in our case are going up 10% this year. So clearly the county between retirement and healthcare has a lot of future obligations that right now present a challenge down the road. It's important you tackle it now. The more you put away and the more you save, the more healthy your financial position will be when those costs come home. The good news is, if you follow me again to the right, the FY34 space begins to show the pay-as-you-go cost of the retirement billings. The cost will go down to $1,022,000 starting in FY34. So as you can see, the windfall breakout is your peak payment is 3.767. We're projecting an average of 1.5 million per year as a one-time cost. you have a balance, and your new base is $1,022,000, which will give you theoretically in about 8 years a $1.244 million annual windfall. All right, and that's after you back out your one-time costs that are associated with payments. That good news should be a commitment of this board and the commissioners as well to take that kind of money and put it back into stabilization to grow to the level that you have right now, which is approximately 18% of your annual operating budget. This model is just a snapshot. It's a path. It doesn't commit you or the commissioners to any vote or commitment down the road to adhere to, but it's important that you see that with some fairly stable and conservative financial planning, you can get where you need to go. But it's going to require a commitment to putting money aside that can help tackle that future stabilization fund demand. Next slide, Bill, slide 7. Overall, the county budget is expected to grow by 2.9% in FY27. We're renaming the engineering department to survey engineering to align with its core mission duties. Our total funded FTE count, you'll see, is down by 6, primarily from defunding 5 positions in the maintenance department. The board and the finance committee may recall that the maintenance department was carrying several funded vacant positions to soft land the closure of the Quincy District Court. This would alleviate or avoid any layoffs. So the FY27 budget absorbs those positions and the costs are reflected. The Norfolk County Agricultural High School was directed to utilize the new state-directed program with lottery-based admission. The result was this coming year, more in-county students for freshman year than previously planned. This shortage was offset recently by a vote of the trustees to increase the out-of-county per student tuition cost by $2,000. Next slide, Bill. 8. Slide 8, Bill. We're frozen here, Bill, at slide 6. So I'm going to move on because I believe the members have the hard copy. The county continues its modest improvements for budget presentations by adding images for the first time for each department, reflecting our mission. You'll see that in the hard copy. Our salary adjustments also include increases for the county director and assistant county director, which would take effect in May 2027 upon the expiration of ARPA stipends. The Registry of Deeds budget is funded above mandate by $193,000. And the county continues to examine cost-saving measures. Our survey, engineering, and facility maintenance staff now attend annual safety trainings to promote safe work environment and which will lower work-related injury claims. The county also accepted the Mayflower Health Group recommendations to exclude so-called GLP weight loss drug options next year. I was told that if the Mayflower Health Group had offered or supported the higher GLP weight loss program, the increase would have been close to 20% of our healthcare. So it's quite a difference cost. If you listen to the news, I don't think we're alone. The final page is such a special thanks to all the department heads who helped put together the annual budget, and our fiscal team, Bill Buckley, Phil Iantoska, Maureen McCune, Alec Reno, and of course our IT team, who is critical to helping us pull off the merger between all of that data and the presentation you'll see momentarily. I'll pause here, Eric, if there's any immediate questions. Other than that, I'll dive right into the budget.
Yeah, one quick one.
Please.
I'm still trying to get my arms wrapped around the various disputes we have with the registry. This is funded above mandate. What drove that?
We're going to show that in just a minute.
Okay.
You want me to wait?
No, yeah, do it when you're ready.
Right up. Yep.
I'm just trying to follow the.
It's relatively straightforward.
Understand how to interpret letters. Okay. Yep, okay.
I just have one quick question on the revenue from the Walton recreational facility. And I simple to see that you've increased rates for the golf course. Now, I'm just kind of going by the title of the recreation facility being more than just golf. I mean, are there other fees or activities vis-a-vis the tennis courts that rates were looked at in terms of overall increases?
They were not.
Was
Just
that
golf.
just golf?
Joined by another member too. Hey, Joe.
Recognize.
Good afternoon.
Evening, Joe.
proceed to the budget, Rick?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
The Finance Committee, as you know, I'm accustomed to call out boxes to help draw your attention to the dense detail of any given budget. So I'll ask Bill to pull up the FY2027 proposed budget, starting with page 2, the table of contents. You'll see the notes, the images. So here we're just calling out under the table of contents, the name of the survey engineering department. Our engineering department is mostly a survey skill set. So we're reflecting that in the new name change. Follow through the proposed revenue page 3, Bill. Next page. Several call outs here. I'll start in the top left. As I mentioned, we're reporting for the first time solar lease funds totaling $50,000. It's a fraction of the total anticipated revenue that when both phases are adopted or online could eventually lead to close to $200,000 a year in new revenue. That is not envisioned for FY27, but we're happy to report that the Phase 2 North Street project is underway and will hopefully be reactivated later this year. As I mentioned, we're drawing down from non-recurring opera interest. That call out shows we're drawing down $1.5 million this year to balance our budget, leaving a balance of $380,000. The $380,792 under miscellaneous receipts, as I mentioned, reflects principally miscellaneous receipts, including Quincy rent for 3 months in fiscal year 26. Also, the Registry of Deeds excise revenue is shown at $4.845, an increase of $200,000 in FY27. And then finally, we're calling out under recreational receipts the increase of $180,000 in fees and other new revenue. Overall, as it says at the bottom, the budget of $38,936,113.34 is a 2.9% increase over prior year. The next call out, Bill, will be page 15 under miscellaneous contingent expenses. Our insurance and retirement system costs. Forgive me if my page numbers are off from yours. Are they? Good shit. Miscellaneous. There you go.
That's 14.
So again, Bill's showcasing some of the pictures we've drawn to advertise. Keep going, Bill. The first call out is for the group insurance costs. They're increased by 10%. We're going up $469,170. That's a larger increase than we've seen from Mayflower. I believe it's indicative of some of the rising healthcare costs that we're all very well aware of, but I don't expect that to be a recurring increase like you see from some of the other public systems. As you'll see, we're carrying now 3.414 I mentioned earlier for the Norfolk County Retirement Contributory Liability and costs. That cost will be funded at primarily 3.4 to 3.7 between now and FY33. Next page, risk management. Assuming the board has it in front of them, the call out shows an increase in legal services, which is due to new litigation defense initiated in the fall 2025 by the Registry of Deeds. The funding includes not more than $7,000 each for legal budgets at the Registry of Deeds and the Treasurer's Office. The next call out is the Commissioner's Office salary page, Bill.
Page 34.
All right, we're gonna base Bill here. It's struggling with his laptop. The Commissioner's Office salaries are shown to increase the County Director and Assistant County Director salaries effective May of 2027. The Finance Committee may be familiar with the understanding that the ARPA stipends that both positions receive expire at the end of April of 2027. the commissioners desire to evaluate both positions and comp the salaries against other counties. Essentially, these values would now be $175,000 for the county director, $125,000 for the assistant county director. These values come from pretty much an average between the Plymouth County roles and the Barnstable County roles. We don't have a lot of comps, but those are where the values came. The commissioners supported those increases. Next call out will be under the maintenance department. Just a quick note on page 58. It's just showing an increase of all piece. Page 58, maintenance department. So this department, as I mentioned, is showing some changes. Obviously, we're receiving less income or revenue from the state with the closure of Quincy, but that means we're also spending less to maintain that building. This budget reflects that. So when you offset those costs, those savings with normal increases in contractual obligations, overall, we're seeing about $113,000 reduction in expenses, excluding salary. This is just non-salary expenses, okay? The next call out will be on page 68, the registry of deeds. Gus, this is, I think, and I apologize, it's hard to read, but I'll go through it briefly. So basically the build out of the county obligation or mandate each year is the prior year spending times 2.5%. That's the approach. So what we do is every February, we take a snapshot of the current fiscal year spending to date, and we extrapolate it and project it out through the end of June. And then in September, when we hit the actuals, we fix it, either put it up or put it down based on actuals. So as we envision doing this for FY2027, the register mandate would be $2,938,668. The reason that we see $193,817 increase is twofold. Number one, a big reason why the register is not keeping up with the spending in FY26 is the litigation that he's engaged in that affects two positions that he had requested to fill, but did not follow the handbook, so the positions were not filled. It created a salary surplus. We're carrying those positions into FY27 on the advice of council because we do expect it to hopefully resolve itself, and we hopefully won't have to penalize the individual slots and the salaries to support them. So when you look at the mandate and you go by the calculation, we are bringing those two positions back in. That's above mandate. And then in addition, the register requested $11,000 for chairs. He wanted furniture for his office. So we're providing that in group 5.
Just a quick question. What we're looking at here is the mandated budgeting for the register, not the deeds excise share that the register gets.
No, that's correct. You are correct.
So where does that show up?
In the registrar's office.
From a budget, from a standpoint of looking at whether the register is adequately funded.
Yes.
How does that, maybe it doesn't, but maybe it's like a revolving fund for Parks and Rec, you don't see it if you're on the market.
So I'm not an expert in this space, but the understanding is what we do on the administrative side is we fund the budget based on prior spending. That's the only rule I follow.
Right, okay.
The revenue that generates the funding behind that number is a 60-40 split. It's all defined in statute.
Right.
The treasurer's office manages the cash flow that is received from the registry to support that expenditure. Okay.
So jumping ahead, but I'm just trying to, I've been working hard trying to get my head screwed down tight. When we get to the supplemental, there's this issue of one thing that the register should be putting in for a technology project. And I read that and said, why isn't that what the deeds excise is intended to do, is cover that stuff?
Yeah, that's better. We put that off to the supplemental.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's great.
So far, so good?
So far, so good.
All right, the next page, you'll note that there are 2 salary lines that are in red. Those are the positions that are affected by the litigation that have not yet been filled this fiscal year. We are carrying them into fiscal year 27. Okay, so that contributes largely to the 193,000 above mandate. Registry deeds, page 71. Just to call out that the register had requested $50,000 for legal fees in FY27. He receives legal fee funding in miscellaneous expenses. I just mentioned that to you, if not more than $7,000. Page 73, again, group 5, showing the increase of $11,000 in office equipment and miscellaneous equipment for office chairs as requested. Get closer to the back end here, we find ourselves with the agricultural high school on page 77. The agricultural high school, first I want to pause briefly and let the committee know that there was a change in leadership, obviously with the superintendent, but he also brought in a new business manager. Jenna arrived, I think, in February-ish, give or take. Highly experienced individual, but put under the gun timeline-wise. She did incredible work preparing an FY27 budget, not just for the trustees, but the commissioners and your benefit. There was a casualty of that, given the time, and you'll see in a minute, we could not produce in time for production all the historical spending for every single person. So you'll see that in just a minute, but I wanted to show a couple of call-out boxes, mostly for posterity. You'll note on page 77, the tuition for out-of-county and in-county students. This obviously drives the budget for the schools. They are now trending at around $31,241, inclusive of capital charges for out-of-county and $5,501 for in-county students.
John, can I ask you a quick question on this?
Yeah.
We had a very large increase in our budget in our town for Aggie this year. Like, we usually only have one student that goes. I think we have 5 this year. So we got a big bill and we questioned it, but the $1,700 capital charge, I thought I was told it was $1,800.
If I'm wrong, I stand corrected.
I'm just curious.
It's a number I was informed of by the business manager, so.
Okay.
It goes out on the town invoice. There are 2 lines. There's one for tuition and there's one for capital.
Right. Okay.
There.
If I look at those numbers, we have more out-of-county students than in-county, 311 versus 299.
In the aggregate, yes, all 4 years.
Okay.
And then wrapping it up, and I wanted to show you, this is what I was referring to on page 83, 82 and 83. You'll just see a list of 83 and 84. All the staff, and the historical salary classified position was not available at the time of printing. We can certainly get it for any members who want to see how much the executive assistant for the superintendent made in 2024 and 2025. Jenna did a great job giving us the data we need for FY27. Or information was not readily available. So just want to make you aware of that. That completes my presentation of the FY27 budget. It would be my pleasure to answer any questions you may have.
So, through you, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
John, on the Norfolk County proposed salaries, the rate of compensation and the requested amount is exactly the same all the way down. So is there these are the 2 pages you were just talking about. All these salaries are exactly the same going all the way down. So I'm assuming these teacher positions would have increases based on contracts.
They do, and they're apparently reflected in those numbers.
But these amounts are exactly the same. So, oh wait, 7126.
Yeah.
Okay, fiscal 27. Never mind. I had a brain fog for a second. Sorry. Okay.
You get 2 every night.
Yeah.
One more go.
That's my wife.
I have a question, and maybe it's something that it's obviously that the business manager could answer for the school. So on page 77, I'm looking at transportation costs, and I don't see anything allocated in this particular page and line for that item. Now, it could be that it's allocated to departments. I'm not quite sure what.
Yeah. If Jeremy shows up, I mean, I'll ping him now to see if he can come down to address your question.
Great.
There's a few things that look like they're zeroed out. That. Those are reserves, that's what
Again, I'm sure it's there somewhere. I mean, they have to pay for transporting the in-county students.
Well, but even here at the central office.
I made the request,
You
Rick.
approved 185.
You want to see if Jen is around?
Either she or Jeremy. I just pinged Jeremy. Thank you, Paul.
Yes, part of the whole issue with the registrar right now, goes back to that whole mandate, the mandate.
Right.
Is that years ago, what was happening is the budget, we were budgeting, prior year allocation plus 2.5%.
Well, no, I knew about
And that was
that.
the switch. That's
Yeah.
what most of the lawsuit is all about. That's that $4 million that's sitting on.
Right.
Well, we're waiting for Jeremy. Are there any other budget questions?
I'm good. I don't think I have any.
Actually, do have one. What's the overall growth rate? But that should.
It actually is relatively stable. It was approximately 2%. I think it was 1.9 last year.
I'm surprised.
We really don't grow a lot. It's 2.9%, obviously, this coming year, but that's generally the area that we're in. Our COLA, which, as you know, is tied to collective bargaining, extended that to non-union, is roughly 3%. So, thank you. So when you look at it through the lens of fixed costs, whether it's labor related or contract, we typically stay in the 2.5% to 3% range. The revenue is always the challenge, Gus, because we're subjected to, when I use the word volatile, I don't mean they're spastic, they're not uncontrollable, but they're unreliable. You know, the trend they follow is a trend we know related to interest rates and the strong housing market. Type that out, strong housing market here in Norfolk County. So we tend to know when the system is paying us back. And I try to keep the deeds money at a level that doesn't really overstate the optimism, if you will, of what is recurring. So as you'll see in FY26, for example, we're going to have a surplus of registry of deeds funds because we came in below what we knew we were probably going to get. The same is true next year. But then you have years like you did in FY 24, 23, 24, when the interest rates skyrocketed so fast that the market just stopped. And housing, in terms of purchasing and refinancing, and the transactions fees that pay the deeds was dramatically impacted. Those are not regular recurring factors, but they do happen. Pandemic was another one. So we can't plan for those. That's why you need at least 20% of your operating budget in stabilization. I don't know what Medfield has in its stabilization, but it probably is. It doesn't need to be, but ours should be because of that. I don't like the word volatile, but instability. I guess. This is Jenna Leskow, the school's business manager. And perhaps, Jenna, we have a question for you relative to the FY27 budget.
Yep.
Fitzpatrick's our finance committee chair.
How are you? Welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. You used to do this, right? Yeah.
Throw it right in the hot plate.
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
It's okay. I just have a question, and I'm sure it's in the document somewhere.
Yep,
So there is a cost of transporting in-county students.
yep.
And I noticed on the page here that there is no allocation in that particular line.
Okay.
Is it represented somewhere else?
I think I have it in one of the operating lines, but the reimbursed, we get reimbursed, and the reimbursement rate, I believe, is like 95%. So that's the piece that I budgeted the difference.
Okay,
So if you want it in a line, I'd have to amend that, which.
okay. So I'm just used to seeing that.
Yeah,
And in fact, if you look at the end of year report, obviously in the 3000 series,
yep,
that would be that number.
right. How
So,
much we spend on,
so you somehow will plug that number in from what you spend. I mean, what?
yes,
Okay,
yep,
Okay.
that's my plan.
okay. All right. I knew you'd have an answer.
Oh, good. Anything else? Or I'll be back up in 10 minutes.
So the amount that's above the 95%, the extra 5% is in one of these other lines, is what you're saying, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I just don't have it laid out as transportation, but obviously state reporting too. I know where it has to go.
What about as far as the first line, central office? Again, 185,000 fiscal year 26 approved, nothing for 27. Was that also reallocated to a different line?
Yes, yes, because those look like salaries. 910 central office. I don't have anything labeled central office, but I have all the central office components in the operating. But I did not use the label central office, so I can't actually determine what that was for, that if it's for salaries or contract services, I'm unsure.
It's better would be the same.
Because it's central office, that would be the district office, like the superintendent's office. That's how I interpret that. I don't think it's.
I think it's safe to say, I remember talking with Jenna about this, Rick, that one of the challenges that the new business manager had was aligning the cost lines or the budget lines, the codes with our accounting system. Jenna did the best with her institutional knowledge to deconstruct those costs. I would expect a tighter and more fluid understanding of how the IB system works next year. There's a lot of back and forth, and
Yeah.
the worksheet was immense to try to unpack all these costs. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I just point in? I actually really appreciate, Jenna, that they're put into the operating budget rather than having a central office, because it's very hard to know what that is. And so by putting them in the operating budget by the line items that actually are salary or whatever they are, it actually is really helpful, I think, for us to understand the whole cost.
Okay.
And so I don't know, just if for 2 cents, I actually think it's more useful. It means much more to me to look at the salary than to say central office, and then we say, what is that? Is that salaries? Is that paper? Is that right? So
Right.
I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to make another comment that I thought John, you really were making a good point about. And I think one of our challenges is our revenues are so well, and as always in budgeting, always public budgeting especially, revenues are much less predictable and reliable than having control over expenses. So we can control expenses. So I just really appreciate John trying to not overstate a good year of revenues, because they're just so much more unreliable. Our expenses are pretty reliable. We pretty much know and we can control them. But boy, we don't have much control over those revenues. And, depending on what happens in the state, it could dramatically change. So that was all I wanted to say.
Do we have any questions? Just one other quick question. So the $1,700 capital charge per student,
Yep.
is that all students?
Yes.
Okay, so does that $1,700 go in a capital reserve
No,
account?
it was divided out like among, so when I got that figure, it was divided out among per head. Can you finish that question for me? I think I interrupted.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, so they're paying $1,700 for a capital.
Yeah,
If I were ascending town and I'm paying $1,700, my question, I guess, would be, is that $1,700 just going into the general fund? Or is that
it's rolled
$1,700?
right into the tuition number. So if the tuition's 30, they're saying like a portion of it
Okay.
is
So
capital.
technically, it's buried in the tuition.
It's buried in it's buried in the tuition rate. Yep.
My understanding is that 1,800 is payback for jobs that have already been done.
it's paying the principal and interest on the
Principal and
bonds.
interest on bonds.
Okay,
So it's not surplus that's sitting in accounts and waiting to be used in the future.
so they're looking at the
It's an
debt
assessment.
service
Yep.
and dividing that by the number of students to come up with that.
It's an assessment per student.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
And you may
They do the same
remember,
thing
Rick,
with the checks. Sorry.
you may remember that the full debt service, debt and interest schedules on the front of the budget.
Yep.
And it breaks out by the various school projects. I think there were 5.
Right.
Right.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Good. Next item on the finance committee agenda would be the FY26 third supplemental budget and transfer request. Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This worksheet should look vaguely familiar to the committee. as we wrap up FY26, remind you when you left off December, the value of our supplemental surplus was $134,633.99. This afternoon, or this evening, the Norfolk County Commissioners who have voted upon this request wish to ask for a total of $134,633.99, leaving $32.01 left over. This would come in a form of a variety of projects. And before I get there, I just wanted to capture your attention at the top of this worksheet. In red, it shows a value of $300,000 for stabilization and another $100,000 for OPEB contribution. Members may recall earlier in the fiscal year, we looked at our total surplus from last year. We set aside, without actually taking a vote to do so, these values. We didn't know what we were in for the rest of the fiscal year. You didn't want to burn through the money, but you set it aside with the expectation you would move those values as shown. This afternoon, I'm proposing that the $400,000 be moved into stabilization less $25,000. Excuse me, what the commissioners wish to set aside. Sorry. Sure.
No CPR. There you go. On book up, Google's redo. Some. So that's how that's what PC.
Thank you for the loops. Apologize. The commission has wished to set aside $25,000 of that 400 for possible assignment to the Registry of Deeds needs at their May 13th meeting. So at this time, they request your permission to move a total of 375 into stabilization. Now moving down to the supplemental needs, I'll be brief. As shown, the information.
Copy on that one. Understand.
Yes,
It shows 100,000 going to OPEB. Are you saying that's not going to happen?
that would be my proposal at this time. Given the situation that I mapped out in our budget, with the demand for more stabilization, I believe the resources ought to move exclusively in that direction and not OPEB.
And that leads to one of my questions is, what's our funding philosophy with regard to OPEB? All right, I'm just trying to understand.
The
I looked
question
at
again-
100,000 a year and it's a $35.4 million liability, which simple math says it's going to be 354 years before we fund OPEB. And I'm guessing that's not it.
According to our actuary, the regular and recurring payments of $100,000 satisfies the actuary's interest that we are contributing to our OPEB liability. We can have, you and I probably have an hour-long debate about the funding of OPEB and a community's interest in resolving that obligation. I have relatively strong feelings about it, given the history I have in my own community. I live in a community that has overcommitted resources over the years to be in a race to the top of funding that liability. I believe it's not the right approach. I think the OPEB liability, as you understand it, Gus, is a commitment to future obligations that if they all came in at the same time, that would bankrupt you to the tune of what you just mentioned. Right. And the likelihood of that happening is minimal, and I think the actuaries understand that. More importantly, I think the legislature in its infinite wisdom has allowed the OPEB liabilities to remain really where they are currently funded. They're not demanding, and certainly auditors are not calling for those obligations to be cleared like they are for the retirement liabilities. Mm-hmm. They're similar but different animals. They recognize that the OPEB model was a broken model from 2 generations ago that is, basically our price to pay. And as long as communities are making those regular and recurring payments, they're satisfied. And again, the debate is how much should you be paying? Norfolk County at this point can't provide more than $100,000 regularly for that obligation, especially staring back at the stabilization needs that you see coming up in the next 5 years.
I was curious, because I think probably the driver in Medfield's got more to do with the accounting issues, the books, and the impact that could potentially have on financing is what's driving what we're doing, the way we're doing it. But I was curious on this one, as it is, the actual benefits are being paid out on a pay-as-you-go basis.
Right.
So it's not like you're
not making.
It's not like that's all that's going in. That's all the text that's going in. Okay.
So moving down to the supplemental needs, our IT department is looking for, as shown, $6,500 for contractual expenses, $1,360 for registry computer supplies, $2,673 for county computer supplies. I'm going to get back to the $215,000 item in just a minute. That's the highlight of your question earlier. But to complete, our facilities department has a host of projects that they wish to wrap up this spring, early summer. They include Dedham District Court sewer repair, an oil burner repair in the registry building of $30,000. We have a building at the back of district that is called the Blue House. It needs stairs on the back, which right now are condemned. We can't use the rear entrance. Fire protection services needs $1,500 correction. And then finally, our air conditioner repair account, primarily Quincy District Court, needs $30,000. And the Quincy District Court expenses do get reimbursed. Finally, the registry of deeds. Yes.
Would those all be contractual commitments, or is any of it in-house?
The Blue House stair repair was envisioned to be in-house carpentry work, but it's been deemed to be off-grade and difficult for one person to do. We'll likely contract that. If you're familiar with the back of the Blue House, you'd understand. The registry, again, the commission has supported at this time the $3,000 contractual service request and $5,000 for miscellaneous rentals. As you can see, the register asked for $140,000 in the various categories shown to the left. Our internal budget team reviewed historical spending associated with each of these asks and measured them against available resources in these accounts, and measured out that, as I mentioned, the contractual services needed $3,000, miscellaneous rentals needed $5,000. That part of the proposed supplemental this evening was supported by the commissioners. They are envisioning additional funds possibly in May. You'll hear from us then at that time.
If you'll humor me, I'm still trying to get my head around what the register is doing. This has legal fees of $50,000. I'm looking at requests. Legal fees of $50,000. I think our second supplemental, we gave them $50,000. So is this an additional 50? $50,000 last time.
He did not receive supplemental funds. We did.
Yeah, it was for us.
The commissioners did.
Okay. And the printing and binding sounds like he's just going after the part of the $80,000 that he didn't get last time.
That's presuming yes. Yes.
Okay. And then I was curious about the contractual services, only 10% out of, why 10% was a good number relative to?
It was not a 10%, it was based on actual spending past every year.
Okay. I think, all right, that's it.
Okay. Treasurer's office, as you know, has had a transition. Later tonight, I hope the chair introduces your new deputy treasurer. But as a result of Joe D's buyout and the transitional cost of hiring 2 individuals for 2 weeks, we require $36,100 supplemental. Wollaston Recreational Facility requested $20,000, but after conversations with the superintendent, they have existing resources in another account that if needed, they could move in and finish fiscal year 26 solid. So we removed that cost. So as you can see, overall, we are expending basically the balance of the $134,000 that is remaining for FY26. The biggest emphasis is the transfer of funds to the stabilization. Finally, I just wish to talk briefly about the Registry of Deeds IBM server upgrade. The commissioners received a presentation of need from the Chief Information Officer, Sam Evans, on the IBM server, which controls the Brown Tech system within the Registry of Deeds. This server system is entirely and uniquely the Registry of Deeds in that it does not service or provide any other support for any other department. This server goes through upgrades from time to time, and Sam alerted the register back earlier this year that this particular cost was looming. Briefly, it would have been our expectation that the register use what's known as the technology fund to fund this particular cost. Each register in the Commonwealth is allowed access to a state-funded registry of deeds technology fund. Each register contributes money to the state that gets deposited into this large fund. So registers may make application for the improvement of technology and operations from time to time. And as a result, over the years, the registry has made several dozen requests and over $4 million in items successfully. That money is applied for by the register through statute to the state. It's approved ultimately, and the money is flowed then into the treasurer's office for expenditure by the register as requested. So at this point, the commissioners are going to request that the register make application for this expense that benefits his technology exclusively to the state to offset that cost. The IBM server upgrade is due. We're looking to get it done as soon as possible. And if you know anything about server upgrades, the longer you wait, the more risky you incur. So that completes my presentation of supplemental needs. I apologize for grabbing that glass of water I desperately needed. Thank you.
Can I ask, this is a dumb question. In that bottom balloon you have, county could embrace opportunity to move portion of annual surplus. I'm just trying to be sure I understand what annual surplus is for. Is it the 25 available surplus? Is it the set aside for 20? What is the annual? That says annual surplus, what is it actually referring to? I don't think that if there's a number here that I should be looking at.
You may recall earlier during the presentation here, Gus, that I showed that if we continue to draw from stabilization to offset the retirement liability over the next several years, we're going to end up with zero balance by the time you end up in FY33. I'm saying here that the county should embrace the opportunity to use a portion of its annual surplus in any given year, at least $250,000 a year to get to that end zone in a solid position. More if possible. That answer that? Okay.
Yep. And the surplus is virtually the same idea as free cash in the towns. Unexpended amounts.
I should have guessed because they were lowercase letters, but I was sitting there trying to find what number are we talking about on the sheet.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, there was a small transfer on page 2 for engineering, $500 overtime salaries to compensation. And we're expecting to close Quincy District Court in 2026, September 2026. And we do expect FY26 revenue collection to be favorable as we close. So when we meet again in September, we hope to have some good news regarding surplus. Thank you.
Okay, so that clarifies my question. So the 134, 633.99 now bumps up to 633.50, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Yes. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Joe? Dr. Childs, any questions?
No, it sounds good. I think
Okay.
it looks good to me.
There are a host of items beyond the presentation of the budget and the supplemental I'd request the Finance Committee and the Advisory Board to consider. The first is to transfer the sums of money to the stabilization. As you may recall, that requires a 2/3 vote. We'd also request your favorable recommendation for the supplemental. We're also looking to request some housekeeping on 2 items. You had previously approved funding for Superior Court HVAC project that is now not moving forward. We're looking to claw that money back into surplus. And then finally, earlier this year, you were kind enough to approve of the supplemental for office renovations at 614 High Street, the Commissioner's office. The work is largely completed and we have a surplus. We heard during the budget presentation from many departments that they require additional new furniture. So we're looking to expand the scope of that motion for us to expend that money, the balance of that money in FY26. Thank you for your consideration.
No.
Okay, I guess at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to recommend transfer of $375,000 FY25 to the county stabilization fund.
Moved. Second.
Ready? Roll call vote. Dr. Giles,
Yes.
Yeah, okay, but yes.
Yes.
Second, motion, I'd like to recommend a favorable motion to approve FY26 third supplemental and transfer request totaling 135,633.99, and those to be paid out of the declared first surplus of FY25.
So
Second.
Roll call, Dr. Child,
Yes.
Mr. Red,
Yes.
Mr. Beckerman.
Aye.
The third would be to favorably recommend transfer of $19,000.
Please up to, if you don't mind. The language up to.
Up to, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
up to $119,000 from the account 301-600-5,000-36,000-80 Superior Court HVAC project to the county ARPA interest account 400,004,000,000. Is there a motion? Roll call vote, Dr. Childs,
Yes.
Mr. Red,
Yes.
Mr. Beckerman.
Yes.
yes,
And finally, we would have a favorable recommendation to approve the repurposing remaining funds in the amount of $53,944.93 from office equipment for the Norfolk County Commissioner's Office, which was appropriated by the advisory board at their September 25 meeting for the use of purchasing office furniture and upgrades county-wide. So moved.
Second.
We'll call Mr. Red,
Yes.
Dr. Childs,
Yes.
Beckerman.
Yes.
yes.
Think that takes care of it, Mr. Crowley?
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, at this point, we're gonna entertain a motion to adjourn the
Meeting.
Oh, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of Wednesday, December 17th of the finance committee.
Second.
I have one editor, I'm the editor, grammar curmudgeon, page 3. The middle, Mr. Beckman made a motion to deauthorize the funding. I think that should say, Mr. Beckerman made a motion to deauthorize the funding. Get rid of those middle words there. That's it.
Is there a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
Motion.
Second? Second. Roll call vote, Dr. Childs,
Yes.
Mr. Red,
Yes.
Mr. Beckerman,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
And again, I think that should cover the business of the finance committee of Wednesday, April 15th.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Red,
Yes.
Dr. Childs,
Yes.
Mr. Beckerman.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Call the meeting to order of Norfolk County Advisory Board. Executive order on remote participation. On March 28, 2025, Governor Healy signed into law House 62, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 38, subsections 18 to 25. That action was effective immediately, extending the current option for remote meetings through June 30th, 2027. We will start with our roll call.
Avon.
Well, wait a minute.
Hold on.
We're waiting for Phil.
No.
I only have 2 hands.
Come on, Gus, hold it. I'm down, Gus, you'll get there. I promise.
It's a long list, you know, I don't want to pick it up.
I did the same thing our first time.
Yes.
Because it was just the votes that you needed to sign to get ready.
Okay.
You got it. Thank you. Avon,
Aye.
Bellingham. Braintree,
Here.
Brookline,
Here.
Canton.
Yes.
Cohasset. Dedham.
Here.
Dover. Foxborough.
Here.
Franklin. Holbrook.
Thanks.
Medfield's here. Medway.
Here.
Sure about Medfield?
Ben-
Not really. I think I heard a here from
Sorry.
Medway.
Yes.
Medway is
Sorry.
present, yes.
Thank you. Millis. Milton.
Here.
Needham.
Here.
Norfolk. Norwood. Plainville.
Here.
Quincy.
Here.
Randolph. Sharon.
Here.
Stoughton. Walpole. Wellesley. Westwood.
Here.
Weymouth.
Here.
Wrexham.
I have 66.02.
So we do have a quorum. All right, so we will continue on with the pledge of allegiance. Commissioner Stady, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. I want to start off just by recognizing we have a new deputy treasurer, Robert Fontana. We welcome you. Good luck. You're gonna need-
Can I, is this Mike Bellotti? Can I say a few words too? In terms of
was
the
that?
new assistant treasurer, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just quickly, then I'll, either, you can ask some questions or just leave it at that. So, Bob Fontana came to us through a pretty rigorous process, that we followed with the, HI and the commissioners. He's got a couple masters. I don't know if you've seen his resume, taxation, accounting, Mass Maritime grad. Joe Dioria was kind enough to kind of train him the last 2 weeks. That's why we got a few extra dollars in the budget this year, because or at least requested it, so that they would have a 2 week opportunity to really do as much as possible in terms of cross training. Of course, you know, Joe's leaving with 40 years of experience, and as you know, county government is very nuanced when it comes to the particularly with some of the issues that we've been talking about, either you know, for litigation or otherwise. And he comes with a learning curve really around that piece, but not about the fundamentals of accounting and being an assistant treasurer. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Treasurer Bellotti.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words, sir?
I have nothing.
Okay. You will at some point, I promise.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then we will move into our public hearing. In accordance with chapter 35, section 28B of the general laws, I announce the need for a public hearing of the Norfolk County fiscal year 2027 budget open. The hour being after 6 p.m. We'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So
on the
moved.
Fiscal 27 budget.
Seconded.
So moved by Joe. Second by Bob, No. All right, and we need a roll call vote for that.
Let me know when you're ready.
Thank you. Okay.
Avon.
Yes.
Braintree.
Aye.
Brookline.
Yes.
Canton. Yes. Dedham.
Yes.
Foxborough.
Yeah.
Medfield, yes. Medway.
Yes.
Milton.
Yes.
Needham.
Yes.
Plainville.
Yes.
Quincy.
Yes.
Sharon.
Yes.
Westwood.
Yes.
Weymouth.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, so at this time, I will ask the county director to review and briefly discuss the fiscal 27 budget. Mr. Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, good evening, members of the advisory board. This evening, I'll take a similar track as I have in the past to present to you a brief slide deck of the overview of the FY27 budget. Following that, I'll go into the budget itself, where I've provided approximately 11 callouts, which I'll go through systematically for you. And at the end, I'm happy to answer any questions at all about its content. The agenda for the PowerPoint includes a brief budget development, a discussion on revenue, a little bit of insight and time spent on the retirement liability cost modeling, and then finally some highlights for our FY27 budget. Slide 3. As you can see, we are at the back end of a process that started on or about January 7th. The budget memo was distributed for departments, guiding them on how to develop this budget for your consideration. The commission has voted on this budget on March, actually a little later than that, March 25th. And we anticipate that following this public hearing, we'll see you again on May 13th. Slide 4, Bill. The revenue associated with this budget follows budget presentations that were made by department heads that began to build up this budget. Work began immediately after that January 7th timeline.
Just to your point of order, could you anyway get that screen large? See better, back here we can't see what it says, just so we can read it better. Thank you.
That's about the best we can do. Are good?
Yeah, you see it better.
To assess the projected revenue model. Based on trends from previous years and continuing into FY26, these adjustments were made primarily to deeds excise, which we're projecting up over $200,000. The Wallaston Recreational Facility also continues its annual tracking of running a surplus over costs. The course closed calendar year 25 with nearly a $200,000 revenue improvement from prior year. Furthermore, the commission has approved a new fee schedule for calendar year 26 that, coupled with new recurring revenue-based results from last year, provides an increased revenue projection of approximately $180,000. The county is projecting its first revenue from the Aggie Solar Project. The North Street project is proceeding. It is expected to be activated in September, October of 26, resulting in approximately $50,000 in new revenue. Slide 5, Bill. Not all revenue is going up. We are showing miscellaneous receipts going down approximately $420,000 next year. That is largely and almost completely related to the closure in September of the Quincy District Court. As you may know, we received funding from the state to offset those expenses. This reduction reflects that. Beauty Access Fund and the Quincy District Court parking revenue, smaller items are also showing trends down in FY27. So although the amount of revenue shown in the in the revenue model, you'll see in a minute, shows ARPA interest is being spent up from FY26. This is actually not good news. This additional $813,000 is being drawn from interest, which will have a balance left over for next year, approximately $380,000. This factor is considered unfavorable. This is non-recurring revenue. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Overall, the county's reliable revenue base is stable. However, continued pressure from healthcare and retirement liability obligations require use of these non-recurring revenues and likely stabilization for FY28 to FY33 to balance the county's budget until the retirement obligation in this case is paid in FY33. Next slide, please. Excuse me. Members, I'd like to call your attention to this brief, I call it a path or a model that calls attention to the larger retirement obligation. The numbers I'm about to explain to you are sourced from the Norfolk County Retirement Board. If any of the members of this board are members of the Norfolk County Retirement System, you know they are accelerating, like many systems, the cost of their liability to close that by FY33 and before the PARAC deadline of FY40. Briefly, in the upper left-hand corner, you'll note the FY27 Norfolk County Retirement Payment Schedule begins with $3.414 million being paid. As I mentioned, the cost to offset that in your budget is $1.5 million, and it's coming from the ARPA interest. Next year, I should say FY28, the fund, the cost increases to about 3.5, and if we keep that $1.5 million contribution going, we'll need to find another source other than ARPA interest, and in this case, it's your stabilization account. So as you can see, I want to call your attention to the top line so you can see the growth, in some cases a little bit of volatility in the retirement payment schedule. Starting in FY24 at 3.4, it goes to 3.5, a dip in FY29, that's nice, but then it begins to go up again to 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, and it peaks in FY33, the yellow column, at just about $3.8 million. So I've done my best to sort of imagine what the projected non-recurring revenue may be needed to offset that cost in the annual county budget. And as a result, you'll see the way to get there is draw down on your stabilization fund. Hopefully, after tonight, you'll see a stabilization balance of approximately $7.2 million. And if you begin drawing that schedule down against that balance, unfortunately, you won't reach the finish line. You'll be short FY33, unless you do something. So I'm suggesting that the commissioners and the advisory board plan to put a minimum of $250,000 each year into stabilization between now and then to meet that final obligation amount in FY33. You'll meet it. You'll get where you're going if you put an average of at least $250,000 into stabilization. This evening, we'll be asking for more than that, so you'll get the idea. If you could put more in, you're helping yourself. We'll get to that in a second also. So by FY33, if all goes well, you will have paid off the balance of this liability. And by FY34, good news arrives. You can see a windfall begins to develop. And as I've modeled out here, if you take the peak payment, you back out your one-time cost, you end up with a new base of 1.022 million. That will pretty much level off as you go forward. That means the county has in its budget a windfall of about $1.2 million as we sit here today. I would recommend that if we're all sitting here at that time, that we seriously think about taking the majority of that money at that time and build your stabilization back up. Today, you will see your stabilization is approximately 18% of your operating budget. That's pretty good. Our goal is to get to 20%. I don't think we're going to get there. But in FY34, those who make the decisions should be looking to take that windfall, or most of it, to put back into stabilization, build it up so that your stabilization reaches that 20% goal. So I just wanted to paint this picture. It's similar to something I've shown you in the past, but I've given you the real numbers from the retirement board now. And I think it allows you time to process how much money needs to move into the savings space to achieve your goal of clearing this liability without much disruption to your base operations.
And take my questions now, there, or you want to at the end?
Let's wait till the end.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide, Bill 7. Budget highlights. This county budget is projected to grow by 2.9%. We are renaming the engineering department herein to the survey engineering department to align with their core duties and mission. The total funded FTE count is down 6, primarily from the defunding of 5 positions in the maintenance department. Members of this board may remember for years you've been funding vacant positions within the maintenance department while the state makes up its mind of when they're going to close Quincy. We did not want members of the maintenance department to be laid off when the state decided to close. So as a result, this budget absorbs those positions, but it also does reduce your funded FTE count by 6 in this case, mostly out of maintenance. With decreased revenue from the state to operate the Quincy District Court, this planned previous vacant position deletion offsets the revenue loss. And then finally, the Norfolk County Agricultural High School was directed to utilize a new state-directed program of lottery-based admissions. This result was more in-county students for freshman year incoming than previously planned. That revenue shortage was offset by a vote of the trustees to increase out-of-county tuition by $2,000 per student. Slide 8, Bill. The county continues its modest improvements for budget presentations. For those of you who have a chance to look at the budget as it was given to you, you'll notice we're adding images as we continue our annual process of improving the appearance, the readability for people unlike us who might be interested in the work that you do. It makes it more approachable. We are also adding salary adjustments for the county director and the assistant county director that are to take effect in May 2027 upon the expiration of ARPA stipends. I'll give you those details in a moment when we get into the budget. The Registry of Deeds budget is funded above mandate by $193,000. And the county continues to examine cost-saving measures. Our survey engineering and facility maintenance staff now attend annual safety trainings multiple times a year in some cases to promote safe work environments and lower work-related injury claims. So far, that's proved very productive. And furthermore, the county accepted the Mayflower Health Group recommendation to exclude so-called GLP weight loss drug options for weight loss programs next year. Finally, I'd like to, as always, thank the multiple people who contributed to preparing this budget for your consideration. That includes all the department heads, their teams, and our internal fiscal team, including Bill Buckley, Phil Iantosca, Maureen McCune, Alec Farino, and our information technology team, who are always very helpful with the tech to build this product. That concludes the deck. At this point, Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I'll dive right into the budget and the call-out sections that are associated.
Yes, only because those call-out sections relate to some of the.
They're all, you'll hear some redundancy, but
Questions and answers. There.
there are approximately 11 callouts. I will go through them by calling out the page number to help you associate where we're heading. In no means am I trying to overlook any details within the budget. I'm here to talk about anything that's on your mind. Can't guarantee I'll have all the answers, but do the best we can. Bill, page 2, just showing again, the new name for the engineering department will be the survey engineering department.
Just one thing I just want to make there is that we're one page ahead. So his page 2 is our page 3.
Thanks.
It's same page, just different numbers for whatever reason.
Next page, Bill, revenue. So this page, as you have commonly to find out, is the landing spot for all the revenue projections in the balanced budget view. Several call outs. I've already mentioned many of them. First, again, highlighting the solar lease is starting to yield revenue, $50,000 next year. We're drawing down from recurring ARPA interest. Again, we're successful. We'll be left with a little over $380,000 after fiscal year 27. As you'll see under miscellaneous receipts, we're carrying 3 months of Quincy rent. The state has not moved off its plans to close that building around Labor Day this coming September. So I'm confident that we won't see any additional movement or costs. If they are, we'll see you in September about that. As I mentioned, we are increasing deed excise by up to $200,000 in FY27. And we're also looking at an additional $180,000 in gain for recreational receipts from Wallaston Recreational Facility. The next call is on page 15. Miscellaneous contingent expenses.
What page number?
15.
15.
Okay, thank you.
It's known as in miscellaneous contingent expenses, insurance, OPEB.
Actually, it's our page 14.
Bill catches up. So very briefly, we've noted it, but the group insurance cost for the county is going up 10% in FY27, from 4.7 million to 5.2. Just a footnote, Mayflower Health Group did advise us if the GLP option was in play, our insurance cost would have gone up by 20%. So it's a considerable cost savings not adopting that. And just a footnote, it's very much in the news. The GLP costs are quite expensive. The Mayflower Health Group has made it clear that the GLP options for individuals who need those services as a result of medical care, i.e. diabetes and things, those are covered. This is excluding GLP is a manner for weight loss exclusively. That's all. That's the big difference, okay? Moving down, you'll see the contributory retirement call out of $429,415 up from last year. That is our retirement contribution that I mentioned earlier. Next page, risk management, legal services. We're asking for a $41,000 increase due to new litigation defense, which was initiated in the fall 2025 by Register of Deeds. Funding includes not more than $7,000 each for legal budgets for the Register of Deeds and the Treasurer's Office. Those are unchanged earmarks. The next call out is 34, your 34, which is the Commissioner's Office proposed salaries. Bill pulling this up briefly, as the board members may realize, during the course of the ARPA program, the Commissioners provided stipends to the County Director and the Assistant County Director. Those stipends end April 30th, 2027. The Commissioners wish to examine the costs of salaries for both of these positions. and arrived at a value of $175,000 annually, which will begin May 1st, 2027. So you see a modest increase for the director there, and $125,000 annually for the assistant county director. Those values were primarily derived from our comparative review of salaries from Plymouth County and Barnstable County. These values primarily show the assistant county director and a county director be in the middle between Plymouth and Barnstable County. That's where the values came from. The next call out will be on your page 57. This is the maintenance department proposed expenses. I think, as I mentioned, with the closure of Quincy District Court and the reduction in positions, we see the maintenance department budget decreasing. And it's just important to note that the non-salary costs, absent any increases that come from contractual obligations, and the net is $113,000 savings. Most of the savings are coming from the salaries, because we no longer have to service the 5 positions that will be there for 3/4 of the year next year. The next call out will be on page 67, the Registry of Deeds budget. Excuse me. Members may be accustomed to this call out box, which examines the projected mandated funding level for the Registry of Deeds. Each year we take a snapshot of their spending, usually in February, and we extrapolate that spending through the end of a fiscal year. Based on that number, we fund the mandate at spending at 2.5% above that for next year. In the event the registry's actual spending changes from that level, we adjust it in September. You've now done that for several years. In this case, the registry's mandate would be $2,938,668 for FY27. The recommendation is to fund that with an additional $193,817. That is primarily carrying 2 positions into FY27 that have been unfilled for most of FY26 as a result of litigation initiated by the Registry of Deeds. Those positions are part of a litigation. No matter what the outcome, we don't want to find ourselves on the wrong end of funding them, so we're funding them in the budget for FY27. And in addition to that, the Registry requested funding to replace chairs in his office, and we're funding that in Group 5, $11,000, and you'll see that in just a second. As you can see on the next page, I highlighted in red the 2 positions that are vacant currently, pending litigation initiated by the registry. We'll see what the outcome of that is. If they indeed need to be filled, you have the funding to do it. If they don't get filled, we don't spend them. And then following into page 70, which is Group 2, just to highlight, the registrar did ask for $50,000 in legal fees. His legal fees are funded in the miscellaneous category I showed you earlier, along with the treasurer, of not more than $7,000 per year. Group 5 on page 72, Bill. I just want to show the increase to the Group 5 equipment line, totaling $11,000 for the office chairs as requested by the registrar. So those 2 positions plus the chairs of the $193,000 above mandate. Now moving to the agricultural high school budget, there are 2 callouts. Just very briefly, I wanted to show on page 76, Bill, a banner that pretty much presents the tuition picture that many of you in your communities and the communities you represent, you're probably asked a lot, how much is tuition, yada, yada, yada. So in FY27, the Aggie is promoting a $11.36 million tuition proposal, and that's made up of 311 out-of-county kids at a tuition rate of $31,241 and 299,000 in-county students at $5,501. These costs are inclusive of a $1,700 capital charge, which is assigned to every student. Same value, no matter if you're in or out of county. And then finally, on page, the very back, I just wanted to call attention to something that emerged as a result of budget build out this year. The historical data of each of the Aggie positions was not available at the time of print. Very briefly, I mentioned this to the Finance Committee. There was a change in leadership at the school. You know, you hired a new superintendent. He brought in a new business manager. I think Jenna started in February. You can imagine being handed the task of preparing a budget never seen before and getting it ready for the commission's approval about 6 weeks later. I want to tip my hat. She did a great job. Not only did she have to learn our system and meet with all the stakeholders, she had to present it to the trustees, did a great job. I've spent a lot of time with Jenna. She's a pleasure to work with. But unfortunately, her knowledge of the system and the time to pull that historical data didn't align. I didn't think it was that important to tell you. If you have any questions about an individual position, just let us know. We'll provide that to you. Importantly, there is historical total information at the back that shows the total historical spending by year for those positions, but not individual positions. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation of the budget with callouts, with efficiency, I hope. I'm prepared to answer any questions you might have about that.
All right, before we go into questions, I'm gonna ask, what was the vote of the county commissioners on the budget?
Unanimous.
So I will now open for public comment. If anybody does want to speak, we ask that you identify your name, community, and we're gonna start with the members. So does any of the member communities have a question? Start with that. Mr. Polito.
The stabilization fund you talked about, okay? Isn't that more like a rainy day fund?
Did you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
The stabilization fund you want to use?
Yes.
That too, to me, is a catch-all for any, if you want the money to do it. But we use all the money to pay that thing down. I'm just worried about a few years from now, we have a big issue of money going.
Yep.
That schedule won't work. Am I thinking the right? I'm just asking that question.
I don't disagree with that note,
Yeah.
and I think the county, the poison pill in my experience with public accounting, public budgeting is when stakeholders and decision makers do not acknowledge problems and they do not plan for or look to solutions ahead of the problem, they tend to make them worse. All my presentation shows is that you have a looming obligation. You need to see it for what it is. You ought not to really consider expansion initiatives and new programs and things that take you outside the boundaries unless there's a bona fide reason and a revenue source to support them. In most cases, the kind of modeling I just showed you, Mr. Polito, is just that. It's a snapshot. I would venture to say if all these people are sitting here in 3 years, it'll look a lot different. There could be other budget stressors that are presenting needs for a shift in some of that assignment. I would agree also with you that the stabilization is a rainy day. You should only use it for typically one-time expenses to get you through a problem. And as I showed you, although this problem is multiple years ahead, it does have a shiny end, if you will. And with the stabilization, if you use it smartly, and if you're contributing to it in a robust fashion, you should be able to weather that storm. And that's the nature of using stabilization. We simply don't have enough resources otherwise to handle that kind of obligation.
I'm not objecting what you do. I'm just saying, down the line, every town's gonna have something go down for big money and just that schedule won't work out someday. None of us could be here at that point. But
It could also work the opposite direction. If
Yeah.
revenue's coming higher, or,
But
if
usually that's not
revenues
the
are higher,
case.
no, it usually isn't the
something's
case.
gotta come out somewhere.
There's always a possibility it could be one way or the other, you don't know, but yes.
That's cool. Got another question?
I'll allow you one more and then we'll go to others, then we'll come back to you.
Just the medical insurance for GIs, medical insurance,
Mayflower Health Group.
have we ever thought about moving to the state GIC? I mean, is it cost better? I mean, I'm always a teacher, so we're on the state GIC plan, it's a great plan, but I don't know what. Blue school about, on the, member, we go to GIC. I'm just thinking about, GIC versus Mayflower, is a better deal? I don't know, I'm just, our cost, he's not budgeting with that high as you are, that's all I'm saying.
Again, Mr. Polito, I think that's a great question. First, I have to acknowledge that healthcare choices or agreements that the county has are bound by a public employees committee. The PAC, if you will, is made up of both collective bargaining and retirement individuals as well as management who contribute a group think as to what is the best value for its members going forward. Moving to the GIC has two challenges. Number one, you have to overcome any hesitancy or null vote, if you will, from the PEC to get there. And don't overlook that challenge.
Yeah.
The second challenge is exiting from the plan. If you're familiar with the movement from one health plan to another, many of them include what I'll use as a poison pill. You have to figure out a perm cost to get out of the system. And it's designed so that they want to keep you, right? They don't want to make it easy for you to leave. So there's a cost for leaving. And I don't know what that is, but I do know it's 6 figures the last time I checked.
I know Denver did that one time and then you move out because the cost factor gets mentioned. They
But I-
try to get out.
But I want to add, because I do think it's an excellent question. There are communities that have done what you're suggesting. They've recognized that the groups within the state that control the healthcare in their respective areas are finding it more and more difficult to control these costs. Their competitiveness is shrinking and the members are squawking because if they're not able to control the cost, what happens is they begin to push them back on the members. And in some cases, you could start to see communities doing 50-50 or 60-40, and it's not the desired outcome. So I know of at least one community that did exactly what you suggested, but it was with the Ascension because the group that supported them was starting to dissolve.
Yeah.
So there was no perm out. The PEC had a clear vision of going to the GIC, and they did it and saved quite a lot of money, I might add, because the market cost, if you will, going to the GIC is very attractive. But I just want to present to you, the commissioners and any other stakeholders, there are 2 major obstacles that can't be overlooked. Good question, though. Very good.
I've been on that program, my wife, and I've been sick a lot. It cost me nothing, heart attack, nothing is, I had a heart, I'm listening on. They found it one day, but it was a big expense, it cost me $500. I'm sorry, so GIC is a good plan, that's what I'm saying.
We went through this exact thing in our community. We just did a full review of healthcare, and GIC was shot down immediately by the PAC in our town. The police, teachers, fire, and the teachers actually have the control because of the size of their membership. But the GIC, they flat out rejected it. There wasn't even a discussion about it. They said absolutely not.
We put on a table last year to talk about healthcare,
Yeah.
and it lasted about 10 seconds.
Healthcare is
They
killing
don't want to talk.
every community. The healthcare costs is
I'm done.
it's crazy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to, is there anybody else that has any questions? Charlie Ryan, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just want to commend the commissioners and the county director, Mr. Cronin, for a well thought out budget that looks not only at the immediate needs of the county, but the long-term issues that we, as was previously stated, we can't avoid. We need to look at them now and have a plan. And I like that we have a plan now that we can revisit and adjust as we move forward in time. And it's a great budget. I'm going to be supporting this. And I just want, the town of Braintree is going through some very difficult financial times. And I like to see this well thought out budget because, it does have an impact on all the cities and towns that all the advisory board members are representing. And it's good to see that we have a well thought out budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Any other questions from board members? I actually have one question. Using money out of stabilization usually affects bond rate. Have we talked to our bond council at all on how this plan might affect?
No, we haven't. It's a bit premature to suggest what that might have on our bond rating. I would remind many of the board members that most of our bonding is completed. We have no anticipated bond projects upcoming that would be affected by any change. Our bond rating is not AAA. I know that it's capital A, little A plus. It is a modest rating reflecting our relatively low bonding. So I'm not overly concerned about it, but certainly when we do start drawing stabilization, I'm sure our actuary will give us some feedback on what that means. But in the context, Eric, of why are you using stabilization? This goes back to Mr. Polito's question. If you're using stabilization to pay for contractual obligations associated with a police contract, and you don't have an offsetting plan of when that one-time money is not going to be needed, most actuaries are going to say you're in trouble. You're creating a house of cards. That's not the case here. We certainly have an obligation. We want to pay it. We have an obligation that we see has an end game, and we have the resources to get there. So most actuaries would say, we understand it, just keep us informed. So I think that's basically the best way to look at it, but I wouldn't be overly concerned about impact on bond rating this time.
Okay. More questions, any questions from the board?
I got more.
Before you, Tom, I just want to make sure if
Okay.
anybody else has any other questions. No one? All right, Mr. Polito.
Just in the budget, it says FY 2027 request. That's a request to you, to the commissioners, or a request from the department head?
Both. Ultimately, it's the commissioner's request at this point because they've voted on it, Mr.
So they
Polito.
may request more money, but this is what you're recommending.
That's correct. In fact, I will tell you that based on the total requested departments against last year's revenue model, we exceeded request by over $2 million.
Just as how the request.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how the process works.
And the other issue, is it's very so simple to me about the ARPA money. I mean, you told us back in 22, and the commissioners, and you said to my face in the meeting, public thing, when the ARPA money, $30,000 go away. You says the 30,000, the program is ended, the 30,000 will go away. Now you're lying to me, because now you're getting it back the back door.
I'm sorry, did you say I'm lying to you?
Well, the budget is, you said the meeting, I asked you right to perfect. You said, well, 30,000 will go away.
It is going away, sir.
But you're getting money through the back door and the raise. So it's really, ARPA's going away, but you're getting it through the salary. So it's
This is,
one thing to the other. That's all it is.
this is a decision of the commissioners.
Well, I'm saying, I was told by the
Noted.
commissioner that day and you, that when the 30,000 goes away on the ARPA money, that wouldn't go forward. So now you can, the budget, you're going up to 175, so you are taking some money, the town money, to bigger salary. But I'm just, we've said.
I would look at it more as a market adjustment on the positions than backfilling the same money. I wouldn't say that. Because they did comparisons on both positions, try to see if the commissioner, if the two positions in line with what other counties are paying.
I just.
That's what this was all. Okay,
But
that's noted.
no, but you're saying one thing 3 or 4 years ago, now it's different. I'm just telling you, so I looked at it as basically not telling the truth.
Again, that would be a question for the commissioners. I don't know, Mr. Collins, would you like to?
Go ahead. Through the chair, not through me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer it. I know, so Richard was ready to go too, so, you're right, you're right. So we gave additional money to the county director and the assistant county director for managing the ARPA. The percentage that we used for internal management of ARPA was much less than the other counties. And by managing it internally, we saved a lot of money, which we were able to pass on to the 28 cities. And our goal, and we brought this right up to you, our goal at the time was that once this ends, it wouldn't be continued on, it would stop, and it did stop. But at the same time, we learned more about the positions through the other counties. The Barnstable County pays their county director $225,000. And when we looked at the bigger picture, we realized that the market for those positions that we have for the salary right now wasn't appropriate. It didn't match. And so we asked the county director to look at the other counties because we want apples to apples, right? So really the bigger counties are Barnstable and Plymouth. Those are the biggest ones. And so when we looked at those salaries, this salary is actually, I know John said it's kind of in the middle. It's actually still light. It's still light from 50%, like in the middle between those two counties. So we're trying to make the position more marketable regardless of who's in it. If these two individuals are in it forever, that's great. If they're not in it, we want to be able to attract people that will be solid in that job. And right now, the market wouldn't fill those. The market would call for much more for those positions if we had to fill them. And at the same time, we're very pleased with these two individuals. We don't mind rewarding them for the good work that they've done, but at the same time, we want to keep them.
Commissioner Stady.
If I could, just to piggyback on my colleague, you're right. When you're right, you're right. You did say that. I remember that. So I want to acknowledge that. Get a crystal ball. Can you tell us give us a winning number for tonight? Can you tell me that? But seriously,
but I understand the market value. I understand that, like all town managers.
Yeah.
About almost $200,000. I'm saying he's almost like a town manager.
Yeah.
But no account. I'm saying, so I understand the market is hot.
I would say, to be truthful, what the upper stipend, if you will, allowed us to do was to postpone
a good hard look at the position because the salary and the earnings were kind of comfortable to say, on a personal level, which probably isn't the right way to do business. You really shouldn't be looking at the person to really different position. I know in my own town, Charlie Judy, a distinguished former fire chief and administrator, just retired, and they're looking to advertise that position, and that will be well over 220. And I know it's apples and oranges to some degree, it's different. Canada's got a bigger budget and responsibility, but still, to attract and maintain where we are, you have to kind of keep up with the pace. So we did take a good look, you know, with comparable positions, and the market-driven price was what we came up with. I mean, that's as simple and honest as I can make it. All points taken, you know, like I said, I think it's worth it to keep that position where it is and to maintain the salary, regardless of the person. I think that's the one. We did the same thing with the Aggie. We had to make an adjustment on the superintendent and the other positions, again, to be competitive. And the results have definitely proved it. We're very delighted with our new superintendent and the assistant superintendent. We're getting good results already. We see some good things ahead. So the old saying, you pay for what you get. You know, so that's the bottom line of that. But that point we'll take it.
We went through this exact same thing in our town. Our treasurer, who had been around for 30 years, retired. Well, what she was making and what the hours for a treasurer was way off. We had to increase our town budget by almost $50,000 for that one position because we couldn't attract anybody. You know, you're not going to get good people if you're not paying, basically, by bottom line. Mr. Ryan, you have your hand up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take a minute to say I've been on the advisory board for maybe 22 years, and we've never had better staff than we have right now with Mr. Cronin and Mr. Buckley. And just their professionalism, their job performance, and their knowledge, we're extremely lucky to have them, and I fully support this budget, including their new salaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Oh, one last thing.
Yes.
Eric, so the ARPA money doesn't run out until almost the end of the fiscal year of 2027. So the salary isn't bumping up that we're paying it the whole way. It only picks up at the end, at the very end of the last month or two.
Okay. Want to take it? Thank you.
No problem. Please. When you did the Richard Deeds on his mandate, how do you figure, you know, how do you figure that 0.25 or 2.5 over spending? Is that what was budget last year or spending year to date? How's that figured out?
It's 102.5% of the prior year spending. That's the mandate.
But like, I'll bring up later, but you know, he's got a couple of positions and I told you actually the court bed and everything else, okay? So there's extra money in that account. Is that gonna hurt to me? That could help with the 2.5, that gonna hurt him next year whether they're not filled. Your two salaries aren't there all year long. So $100,000 in salaries. That once those jobs are full, the court battle is over, they'll fill those two jobs. Now with those two jobs, they can't be able to be filled. I'm just asking, you know,
Yes.
They're not gonna go away.
They're funded in the FY2027 budget.
They are.
Yes.
So they'll be there.
Yes.
So, but I'm looking, okay, I'll bring the other one, we do the, there's something in the budget about the money in the extra money in that account.
Okay. Any other questions on the budget as presented? Mr. Ryan, you still have your hand up or? Oh,
Just, I received a text, if people could just kind of speak up a little bit.
Oh, all right.
Just one more question about the Yankee.
Okay, I didn't know if Mr. Ryan had his hand up again. Go ahead.
Just the tuition, can you give me what, you know, it's up to 31,000. What was these tuitions last year? How did we go up? Like in town's gonna pay 5501. Is that the same as last year? I'm just looking at some.
My name is Chair.
Some, yeah,
Redundant.
that's all I'm looking for. Did it go up? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to introduce our new Assistant Superintendent for Business, Jenna Lesto. Mr.
Everybody.
Sir, the in-county tuition has been 5501.
It hasn't changed, okay.
It hasn't changed in the last few years.
Okay.
And, you know, we're very cognizant of the struggles that all of our county towns face. So the budget that we presented is basically it's a stabilized budget. It's a level service, if you will, for the most part. It's gone up about $300,000 or $400,000 overall because we have increased prices fuel, electricity, salaries, insurance, much like everybody else. So the burden of that increase was on our.
What was that cost? Why was Jim?
No, what?
And what's the cost like? 31,000 coming in now? What is the lot? What was last year?
It was in the high 28
Now,
or 29.
how did you get the 31? Just because expenses or the,
Yes,
so you figure out expenses, then you charge them quarterly?
yes.
And every town has to pay you, they have no choice. I mean, outside of the seven towns, outside of our towns.
The out of county people, when they send students here, that's the bill they get.
Any problems with the, they don't have a choice.
Yeah, they
They might complain, of course.
they complain,
Yeah.
they question what the amount is and how it's broken down because there's a capital fee and things like that in there. But as far as that, I mean, it is what it is. Vocational schools that Blue Hill and Tri-County, the per pupil expenditure is very high for vocational schools. And the Aggie is actually no different, but we are different because we're much more expensive because we're not just a vocational school, the plumbing, carpentry, or not multiple. We're a full farm. So we run 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year because our animals, that's for our education, have to be cared for, fed, looked after, even on Christmas, and even during Christmas. So we're very expensive, as are most agricultural schools in the state of the four range.
And just to be clear, the animals are not the students. Those are Commissioner Collins, you had a question? I'm sorry, Commissioner State.
Just real quick.
Yes.
So just, again, and the reason for that increase and why it was so late was because of the policy that the state put in that we had to abide by. And it's run numbers off and we had no control of that. But I would say for the people here, it's most important is that we held the line in terms of any increase assessment to your town. We realized that town meetings are starting probably right around the corner. And we didn't want to deal with a bill that says suddenly you're gonna have to pay extra money. So we figured we shifted the balance, to the out of county people, but be aware that there could be some changes down the road. And you'll get plenty of notice and plenty of time to talk about that. And so,
Commissioner Collins, you have something to add?
So to use Commissioner Stady's wording the last time, he followed me this time, I'll follow him, I'll piggyback upon what he said. So the elephant in the room for the Aggie for many, many years has been the disparity in what we've been able to charge the out of county students with the in-county students. We try to give better value to the in-county students in their city, and they're sending cities and towns because you pay county tax and you support the county in so many other ways. And the out of county student were coming in, they were, right? So they had to pay more to attend the Aggie. And what's happened is DESE controls how the admissions happen. That's and what Commissioner Stady was alluding to was they changed the format. So previously, in many ways, it was merit-based as to who got in. Now it's lottery-based, entirely lottery-based. And so what we found is that this particular year, we don't know what we're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get in county or out of county. You can't bank on it. You can't bank on it at all. And so it's anticipated that, but in this year, the in-county students went way up and the out-of-county students went down. So suddenly, we went from a tuition that was $5,000 to 28 grand, and now it's 31. But think about it. There's a massive disparity, and so we anticipate that next year there will be an increase to the in-county students because we've been artificially funding it with the out-of-county for some time, but now with the lottery system and having no control over the numbers that are coming in and where they're coming from and the merit base of it all. We anticipate that to make things right, to make things even, it's going to have to come up. Even with an increase with the cities and towns in county, it's still a significant value. If you send your child to your local high school, it costs much more than it costs to send your child to the Aggie, much more. And so we anticipate that whatever number would come from in-county increase would still be significantly less than it would be to send your child to school in your town. Well, I just want everyone to understand that it's not based on us, it's based on DESE. They changed the formula and we're doing our best to make sure that the county has the funding to keep going. The Aggie has funding to keep
This
going.
was discussed years ago about, sooner or later there would be a swing in-county to out-of-county, and we faced this, and now we're facing this. I think this came up probably 3 or 4 years ago, if I remember. Mr. Conley, you had a question?
Yeah, real quick, Mr. Chairman, thank you. John Conley from Canton. If I read somewhere, it's 311 out of district and 299 in district, is that correct? And my next question, if you want, how many students aren't accepted? Because I know with Blue Hills Regional, which I was heavily involved with for years, we have a lot of students that don't get accepted.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to know what the similarity is.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Great question. Those numbers that you saw in the presentation were when that presentation was developed. Because we performed our lottery, it was live on TV in this room. And right now, we're actually, for our incoming freshmen. So that number is fairly close, but it changes because the incoming freshmen are still, yes, I'm coming, or no, I got into Blackstone Valley, or I got into Blue Hills. They're playing the lottery game with different schools. So I'll speak to just the incoming freshman class. We're actually here tonight at our gymnasium for their welcome to the Aggie Night. We have 155 available seats for our incoming freshmen. That's our average class size. Right now, we are upside down 10 kids. So when you look at the differential between the out of county, I'm gonna say this year is at 28, or say 30, just for round math. And we charge in county 25. There's a 25,000 differential that we're getting hit with for every student that we get more in county. So being upside down with 10 students in our incoming class, that's $250,000. And if you look at that, we have been trending historically over the last few years, more in county than out of county students. It's just the way it is. Things ebb and flow. But if we go with that model for the next 4 years, when that class continues to fill up and this current class becomes senior, if we do 10 kids a year, that's $1 million. Now, the problem with that $1 million deficit in 4 years, because of the differential with the current funding model, the students that we are getting now, because like Commissioner Collins said, it was merit-based. It was merit-based. It is no longer merit-based. So anybody can apply and anybody can get in. And because of that, we're no different than any other vote score. We're very clear. Every vocational school in the state is facing this. We are, with our current incoming freshman class, we are seeing more students with individual education plans and special ed students. And those plans, those services that we have to offer by statute, with our non-negotiable, they're more complex. We're not really outfitted to service those students. We're gonna have to be because it's a compliance issue, it's a non-negotiable. So we're seeing a change not only in our population as far as where they're coming from, but we're seeing a huge demographic change in the type of student that we're getting here that we are gonna have to service.
So that's a what?
We have to serve them, we have to offer them special education services. Because normally, historically, we have a moderate number of students with educational plans, special ed students. But with the new lottery system, we still have in the incoming freshmen. So we have a lot more students with special ed plans that require services that we have to deliver.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
We don't know.
Don't.
Sir.
That's why you have to take care of it.
I'm pretty familiar with education and sped. So if you have the spike in kids that need services, I can't imagine your staff to handle that. So do you have to have some outside help?
We're trying to do our best to handle things internally. However, with this budget, with some creative budget work, shifting some costs to like our federal grants that we get for vocational funding, and shifting some of our operational costs to that budget, we're hoping to add some staff potentially to service those needs, but we don't know exactly what those needs are yet because we haven't solidified our class yet. But we have had a spike that are going to require more services.
So they have kids with disabilities to various types of dyslexia.
Yes.
They gotta come out of regular classes and get one-on-one, two-on-one help.
We're between a very big rock and a very hard place.
So, Commissioner Skate.
Really quickly, I mean, again, for your role here representing your towns, the the whole process was new. It was new to all of us, brand new. And if DESI continues with this policy, which I think they will for another year, then we have to, I think, do a better job. And perhaps learning from this, I would say I'd advocate to have the lottery sooner rather than later. The sooner we can have it, the quicker we can have it, the quicker we can see where our student population is going to lie, and we can make the, well, because these towns need this information sooner rather than later too when they build the budget.
100%, I agree,
You know.
Commissioner, but by DESI regulation, there are certain dates that we have to do the lottery, that
Right.
kind of locked into a window.
Gotcha.
And we actually did ours as early as we could. We actually we closed our application process January 1.
Okay.
And we ran our lottery in February, I think right before February vacation, which is one of the earliest districts in the state. And, Assistant Superintendent Lesko did the correct thing by forecasting for next year's budget by using our prior year, October 1 number, because that's solid. That's good data that we can use, because if we try to formulate an FY27 budget using our numbers with the incoming class, it's changing from day to day. So that's a moving target we just can't hit. So we use stable numbers to project the budget. And as things go forward, if this trend continues with more specialized needs, then we're just going to continue to use that October 1st report, because that's the most reliable model on that.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Just a quick question. So Superintendent, you said that there was a 10 student flip. So were there any open seats in the sophomore class that you could backfill to make up some of that difference?
Great question. So the night that we held our incoming freshman lottery, we also held a lottery for any potential open spots for sophomores coming in the fall. So we actually held 2 lotteries, and we have not yet filled those seats. We have a list of students who are on the list, but we're waiting until like May, because we don't know how many students may fail out, or it may just change and go back to their sending town. Once we know that number, then the offers are going to go up, and we always backfill the empty spots, Mr. Fitzpatrick, in sophomore class. So we continue to do that within the first few months of school.
And just this one last thing, so, and then you think, oh, what about filling junior slots and senior slots? You can't, because this is specialized training, and they already have 2 years in this, so you only have to fill the first 2 years.
Okay.
What about good? Okay.
1 second. Anybody else have any other questions besides Mr. Polito from the board?
I'm a little rusty on county process. You talk about department heads, they present their request, and to just go to you, or does it also go to the commissioners?
Goes to the commissioners.
So basically, when you presented, you folks have already approved it?
We voted it, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members? All right, Mr. Polito, one last question, and then we're gonna open it up.
Just a Blue Hill. We had 250 kids accepted.
I'm sorry, I forgot to answer the question about how many students didn't get in.
Yeah, well, that's okay, but we had 250 kids.
Wait a minute, it was my question.
There you go.
That's okay.
Wait a minute, Mr. Polito, let me answer the question real quick.
So the question is, this year we actually saw a few more applications than normal. And I think that's simply because students who would normally not apply because they knew they wouldn't get in based on merit, knew that it was a lottery, and they knew they had an equal chance of getting in. So on average, we get 450 applications for 155 seats. So there's tremendous room there for potential expansion, increasing enrollment. But we turn away many more students than we accept. And that, I'm a vocational school graduate. It's heartbreaking.
We had, just in past years, we had about 550 applies, 250 spots. This year, our applications was lower, that's about 20% lower. A lot of us, they did a pre-check this year. They had to have 3 IDs to prove where they live. Sometimes you did it after the fact. This year, they did 4. So now, before you can apply, you need 3 IDs. So you're living living in the 9 towns.
Well, I think that part of the Blue Hills enrollment going down might be those people are actually applying to the Aggie.
It could be, I mean, so,
Very
but,
possible.
we had, I think about 30 kids who were accepted, who now declined.
Yeah.
So we're 30, 40 people into the waiting list. For this, and if the student is very severe special ed, we can send them back to the same school. If they're very severe, we don't, but told them many times, if it's very severe, that something they can deal with, if they're real bad, told every year, we can send them back to the same school. I think with it, why change, I can give me different work now.
That'd be more of a procedural question, I think.
Yeah, that's not an issue for us, no,
All right.
that's how.
I am going to open up the floor to non-board members. I assume Register O'Donnell, you would like to address the board, I assume?
Supplemental.
Okay, so I'll wait.
The budget, yeah, as was picked up, the budget that is in before you isn't the budget we submitted for the fiscal 27. So,
Okay.
clearly it's down from what we requested, but we just want to get through June. So to me, as long as I can address the supplemental part, but clearly, this is one of the issues is that our budgets aren't being fully funded. And then at the end of the year, we don't have money and so.
Okay.
I'd rather speak on the getting through June.
Okay, so I will close the public hearing. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Milton, seconded by Cannon. Yes. So we need a roll call vote.
Hello,
Even if they want.
hello.
I'm sorry, Helen. Helen, I apologize. I didn't see a hand up or anything.
That's okay. I'm sorry that I got to the meeting late. And just wanted to you know that I tried to be here.
Can we turn it up a little at all?
That's.
Hang on for 1 second, Helen. We're trying to turn the volume up here so everybody can hear you.
My daughter just tried to help me with the computer. She went upstairs, but I'm just sorry that I'm late. I had another engagement. Sorry.
That's sorry. Hey, did you have a question, Helen, or?
No, it's all set.
Right. Okay.
So you want to go down the whole list then?
So, yeah, I would go down the whole thing every time. I know, only because they do come in the middle of the meeting.
Is there any way to report? How would we know that they're there? I mean, we know.
Well, I happen to see him. That's the only reason I do, but there could be other people that come on afterwards that we don't. I always call all the time, just in case.
Eric, I just let Norfolk in too.
You'll still let Norfolk in as well?
Yeah, Norfolk there?
Yeah.
Kevin, come.
Okay, can I just change that?
All right, so are we ready for a roll call?
No, I have to change the quorum now.
Oh, okay.
So Norwood is here.
Norwood and Norfolk. That's what I just
Is there
heard.
anybody else on Zoom that was not here at the beginning of the meeting?
That's it. That's it.
That's it? Okay. All right.
Hold on. Another way we might do it, I would think, is if I did the people we knew were here, if someone's at the meeting and I didn't call their name, that would trigger them saying, I'm here. So no, that might be another way to get there, but I'll do the full list if you want.
So with Norwood and Norfolk, we now have 70.89.
Thank you, Phil. And are we ready for roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay, this is a vote to close the public hearing.
Avon.
Aye.
Bellingham. Braintree.
Aye.
Brookline.
Aye.
Canton.
Yes.
Cohasset. Dedham.
Yes.
Dover. Foxborough.
Yes.
Franklin. Holbrook. Medfield, yes. Medway.
Yes.
Millis. Milton.
Yes.
Needham.
Yes.
Norfolk.
Yes.
Norwood.
Yes.
Plainville.
Yes.
Quincy.
Yeah, yes.
Randolph. Sharon.
Yeah.
Stoughton. Walpole. Wellesley. Westwood.
Yes.
Weymouth.
Yes.
Rentham.
Yeah, that's unanimous.
Before I close the meeting, I just procedurally, I failed to ask the finance committee report on the proposed budget. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yes, at the 5 o'clock meeting of the Norfolk County Finance Committee of the Advisory Board with the full quorum. Did discuss the budget for FY27. With no point.
Yep. Okay.
Then with the supplemental.
No, we're gonna do this, we're gonna start supplemental. Okay, so I will officially declare the public hearing closed. And we will talk about the budget come the May meeting. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the fiscal 26 third supplemental budget and transfer requests. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the advisory board this evening, the county commissioners wish to request your approval for the third FY26 third supplemental / transfer. When we last saw you in December, we had approximately $134,000 remaining surplus funds. In addition, earlier this year, this board decided to set aside out of its FY26 surplus from FY25 funds, $300,000 for stabilization fund and $100,000 for the OPEB contribution. This evening, through the commissioners, we wish to move $375,000 of that $400,000 directly into stabilization. In other words, nothing into OPEB, all of it into stabilization, except $25,000, which the commissioners wish to hold back until their May meeting relative to the FY27 budget. They're working with the Registry of Deeds on his request for supplemental funds. They set aside $25,000 to consider that action in a month. So currently, out of the $400,000, $300 for stabilization that you set aside, $100 for OPEB, we're requesting $375 directly with stabilization, which, if approved, would require a 2/3 vote of this board. From a supplemental position, you'll see on this page, Bill, if we could just shoot down a little bit. I want to call your attention to the current stabilization fund balance. Before any transfer that I just mentioned, you're sitting at $6.8 million, which is 18% of your operating budget. Favorable position to be in. The goal is always to achieve approximately 20% or up to 20% of your operating budget. You're nearly there. You can see our OPEB liability is sitting at around $35 million. We continue to make annual contributions to the operating budget of $100,000. Regular and recurring payments. Supplemental needs, Bill, if you just scroll down. There are two columns. One on the left is the request of the department. One on the right is the recommendation through the commissioners. You'll see the Information Technology Department requested $6,500 for county contractual expenses, $1,360 for computer supplies, $2,673.99 for computer supplies for the county. There was a request from the IT department of $215,332 for an IBM server upgrade. This is a registry piece of equipment that runs the Brown Tech system for the registry. This system requires an upgrade from time to time. Excuse me. The register was alerted of this upgrade in January 2026. The commissioners wish the register to consider submitting a request to fund this item through the state's technology fund. And briefly, as I explained to the Finance Committee, the technology fund is a fund paid into by every register in the Commonwealth to the state. They may make applications to this fund from time to time. That application goes up through a variety of different channels, including the legislature, the chief information officer for the state, and the secretary of state. Ultimately, if the request is approved, the funds are received through the treasurer's office, and the register then begins expending these funds for technological and operational efficiency and improvements of the register. So the commissioners will be asking the register to make that application on behalf of his or the IBM server upgrade of the Register of Deeds. Regarding facilities, you can see they've requested $12,800. We're requesting $1,200 for the Dedham District Court sewer repair, $30,000 for the oil burner repair at the Registry of Deeds, $6,500 for what we call the Blue House Stairs contingency. Briefly, for those that you are not aware, the county owns a property at the rear of the registry called Blue House. It's a 3-bedroom colonial, and it's used to support our trades workers. They have plumbing, carpentry, painting, electrical. That's where they get their tools. They do their work. We also have a couple of rooms for administrative storage. There's a deck off the back that's fallen off. That's what this funding's for. It's a contingency against funding that you previously approved in September of 20,000. Fire protection upgrades, 1,500, and then finally the AC repair account of 30,000. As you can see, the Registry of Deeds requested several items totaling $140,000. After assessing the request, the commissioners agreed to support 3,000 in contractual services and 5,000 in miscellaneous rentals. As I mentioned, there's an additional consideration of additional $25,000 by the commissioners. They'll assess that at a future meeting prior to your May meeting. And then finally, the treasurer's office, as you know, had a transition. We had to pay out the former deputy treasurer, as well as pay for 2 weeks of overlapping salaries for that transition to be successful. That's $36,100. Walston Recreational Facility asked for $20,000 after discussion with the superintendent. He has sufficient resources in another account that if this particular account experienced any stress, we could move. And then finally, beyond the supplemental needs on the second page, you'll see a modest transfer of $500 from salaries and educational compensation to permanent salaries of $1,000. Nobody's getting a raise. It's just the need to fund the salary line. Observations ahead, the Quincy District Court, as I mentioned, is expected to close in early September. And our FY26 revenue collections are expecting to close very favorably, thus providing our stabilization fund set aside and capital budget flexibility next year. You'll get a full report on that from me in September of this year. That is my request for third supplemental transfer for FY26. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we'll start with board members. Any questions from board members? Mr. Polito.
Just going on the registered money, you know, I can see the attorney bill, but the other one's about $90,000. He has plenty of money to talk over and move one salary account. It's his money. Well, it's a registered money, okay? But why can't that money be transferred from group one, or I don't know how it's done, to group two, to fund the money he wants? He stay with his budget line, stay with what we approved last year. So, I mean, why are we being paid to him? That's the problem we have. It's his money. He's not asking us to appropriate any additional money. Just move from one group to another group. I just don't know why we can't do that.
All he has to do is make a request to the commissioners. It's a transfer. You can't use money directly from salary.
You can't go from one
salary.
I don't
finish, Mr. Polito. You can't use salary money for expenses. Right. You'd have to formally transfer it. Right. That's a request to the commissioners. So if the register requests that, then that can be done.
You'll have to the commissioner to move.
They have to approve any kind of a transfer from within groups.
Mr. Chair, any transfer from group one or group five requires advisory approval.
Oh, I'm sorry. It requires our approval. Okay.
Well, I'm saying good. Do they approve it first and then it comes to us? I just what
the request would come through the commissioner's office, but eventually would come to this board for approval.
But they have to send it to us to approve.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions on the supplemental? Anybody online? Bill, I can't see the Anybody on Zoom have any questions regarding the supplemental? No? Okay. Registrar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I made this request, the supplemental request was made in March because we need monies. And I know I sent a copy of the letter that went to the commissioners to the advisory board. And you could see even in March that there weren't monies in that account to finish out the year. And you say, oh, no, the register has to make a request. I made a request in March for these funds. And the monies that are needed in this account, again, to go over with everyone, $35,000 in printing. There was a $30,000 request in contractual services, of which they said to it before you was $3,000. I put a request in for $15,000. I mean, we run the registry. We don't have paper. We don't have toners. Main group $5,000. Again, zero request. I see all these requests that were approved. $150,000 to do the kitchen over at the administration building. There was a $48,000 recently for file cabinets and furniture at the commissioner's office. we need monies to finish off the year. And again, I'll make a commitment right here. If this advisory board, and you keep saying the commissions, that's why I sent the request over. And one of the reasons, it's up to them how they want to allocate the monies. But one of the reasons there was a lawsuit is there's a county mandate. And it's $117,000 in group one that's not being expended because we had to file a third suit just to get 2 employees promoted. That money could be used. It's up to the commissioners really to allocate the money. But it's as Mr. Polito said, I'm not here asking for more money. I made that request in March because we have to finish out till June 30th. I would have loved to address the fiscal 27. I'm just trying to get our immediate needs addressed. And it's not fair every time I come over is the registry gets treated much differently than any other department. And we all know why. I'm a big boy. I can live with the retaliation. But we have to run an operation. And I'll make a commitment right here. If the commissioners would, do the right thing, approve this money. The money's needed now, not June 30th, when June 30th is almost upon us. There's a $50,000 request here for legal. I don't know what person thinks it's fair that this advisory board has allowed $1 million since fiscal 21 to be used for legal fees. And the registry, I've been representing the registry in the interest of the taxpayers for zero. It's not fair, but life's not fair.
Well,
What I'm saying
clarify something on that, Bill.
Well,
The only reason we even have a legal budget is because of the lawsuits. This advisory board had to create a legal line 5 years ago, if I remember.
It was always a legal
line.
Respectfully, there was always a legal line in every budget. What you did do was zero out the registry legal line item, so our attorney couldn't get paid, and then he had to withdraw.
No, that's not true. We gave you money a few years ago. I remember that, Bill.
Don't go over
In any
mistake.
case,
That's
in
what
any
the
case.
court said. You want to debate what
All right.
goes on at court?
Let me ask you this. The
$50,000 that I requested, I will make a commitment. If you put the money in group 2, which is $35,000 for printing, $30,000, they gave us 3, but you need $30,000 for contractual services. I will not put that in legal. I'll make that commitment. The reason we asked for $50,000, your attorney had constables go to my employees' houses and serve them. And you may smile, Mr. Beckman, but my employees didn't really take kindly to it.
And Mr. Register, you also served every member of this board with a subpoena, did you not?
You're a named defendant. You're bringing in.
All right, we're not
employees.
gonna get into the details of the legal case. No, we're not gonna get
The
into
employee that got subpoenaed is deposed, a deposition. She got promoted. She has nothing to do with this. You got deposed, you got summons. The judge ordered that, Mr. Beckman. Know why? Because you took a vote that treated the deeds excise like appropriations. The judge reviewed the contempt. He issued the summonses. Not me. I don't issue those summonses. The judge did, and then the judge.
Point of order. This isn't about the supplemental budget. This conversation shouldn't be going on.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. All right, let's move on to the supplement. We'll get off the information about the lawsuit.
My commitment then is that legal monies, I won't, any monies that's put in group 2, I won't use it for those legal monies. That request came because I need an attorney to defend the staff on these depositions. 2 of the commissioners are attorneys, and they wouldn't show up to a deposition without an attorney representing them. And you're having some poor people at the registry of deeds getting served at home. They're not defendants, Mr. Beckman. They're just employees. They have a right to representation, but take that $50,000 out of that request. And if you could give the $35,000 plus the 30,000 for group 2, that would be fine. Group 3 goes into things like ink and toner and things like that. Even 15,000, 30,000, 35,000 plus 30,000 is 65,000 plus 15,000, $80,000. I'll forego the $5,000 in $399, and let us finish off the year. It seems pretty reasonable. And what's frustrating, and you can claim all the point of orders you want. What's frustrating is we made the request in March, and now you're saying, oh, well, maybe it will happen in some future date. We need it now. And what's frustrating is By law, you have to give the registry a mandate. And that's not me saying it. 2 judges have told from the Superior Court, have said that to you.
Correct.
Correct. So there's mandate monies that have been voted. 117,000 as of today is not going to be spent out of Group 1. The commissioners could have just allocated these monies from that. It doesn't cost anything. But let's keep in mind, I also sent out to the advisory board the deeds excise collections. It's over 1.4 million, the registry share. And I know, Mr. Beckerman, you say that it's not the registry share. No, Ms. Childs does, not you. Ms. Childs does. But bottom line, 2 judges in that Superior Court said 40% of those that collected money is the registries. So in fiscal 26, which is the year we're in now, through March 31st, we've collected 1.4 million. I have not authorized that to be used for anything. That could more than cover the 80. But the mandate monies are there. That should end it all. And then fiscal 25 ended. We collected the registry share, not the county share. Yours is much more greater. Yours is 60%. That's 1.8 million. That's certified money that I didn't authorize anybody to use. So there's all kinds of revenues, as has been pointed out. And the easiest one is just use the county mandate monies and just reallocate it. Because as the judge says, by law, the registry is entitled to spend the money that it gets from the legal county mandate. So I'm not here to argue, but it does get frustrating that A, we make a request in March. We made a request because we need the money to finish through June 30th. And it's not happening. And I could see it was happening if we didn't have revenue sources. It's not me saying these are revenue sources. The advisory board has to recognize judges have said it, but more importantly, the state legislature has said it. The county mandate is a revenue source for the registry by law. And the deeds excise money is a revenue source by law. And I know you took the other 4.3 million, it's up to 4.3 million. That's sitting there. That should be in the deeds excise fund. That could be used. Why am I pointing all this out? I don't really care how this board or the commission is funded. It needs to be funded. And out of fairness, it should be funded. I think we all know why it isn't getting funded. I mean, let's call it what it is, but it's still not right. So from there.
Okay.
Sure, just
So
absolutely.
I've been working really hard to follow this for a while. I want to be sure I understand what I just heard you say tonight. At the start, you said, I'm not asking for more money than I have in my budget. I just need the money that's in one part of the budget to be transferred to a different part of the budget. That for the immediate issue that's right on the table here, is that a fair understanding of what you said?
Yes, because again, I got it as effective today, Gus.
Yeah.
It said in Group 1, just Group 1, it was $117,000 that had been spent. And you can understand there's 2 positions that haven't been.
Okay.
So just
without all the other stuff,
Yeah,
I have enough money in my budget overall.
And just
I would like to reallocate some of it here.
Yeah.
In a town, when a department head wants to reallocate money from one category to another, it's incumbent on the requesting department head to say, listen, I need money over here. I'd like to take it out from over here. You may not have been prepared to do that until today or whatever. But the one thing I did hear that I wasn't clear on is it almost sounded like you were saying, listen, I need money over here and the commissioners need to figure out where it needs to come from. And what I'm really looking for is a process on how to, it seems like you've been thwarted a lot, but I can't know for sure the process that you've gone about requesting things has actually been a useful one.
When I specifically suggest certain concrete actions, I get told I'm overstepping my bounds. So what I'm saying is, exactly, here's the need, and here is the avenues. There's county mandate monies that haven't been spent. Just reallocate them, much like was done last advisory board. You put some money in Group 2 from Group 1. There was going to be a cut, remember, in Group 1, and you said, take it out of. There was going to be a cut in Group 2, and then you took a second vote. Thankfully, thank you, everybody. Cut Group 1. And don't cut Group 2. It's very simple.
Those county mandate monies that you're talking about are money that has already been appropriated to your budget, just in the wrong category?
It's a county mandate money to fund the budget. And years, that the group one, we have extra money in there. So why don't you, if that's the route you want to get, I don't want to be accused of overstepping, as I have been told in the past, overstepping my bounds. I'm just trying to look for a solution. One solution, a really quick one, is what you suggest. Another solution is, we've collected deeds excise, and I sent it out to you. You can use that. Now, I know some people say it should be certified and all that. Well, first of all, the county's money's not certified. You use deeds excise collections this fiscal year, and then you collect this year. But we collected some last year.
Earlier when you were, I don't want to dig too deep into this stuff when you want to, but earlier you had said you have not authorized the use of deeds excise money. Do you have access to deeds excise money that you could authorize?
I have to, in my opinion, is a bunch of people here, all kinds of opinions. The deeds excise money by state statute, the registry gets a portion of that.
Right.
And there's past memos, there's past things that say that's for the exclusive use of the registry, the deeds excise share. I can't use it unilaterally. In other words, I have to say, hey, I could use this money for this. And then I have to go to the commissioners and there's checks and balances, the advisory board. But what I'm saying is the deeds excise money that belongs to the registry is just being used without my authority. And all I'm trying to make a point is the collected money is there. Through March 31st, the registry share is 1.4 million.
I'll move that out of here because that complicates things. What I think I'm taking away is you have money currently allocated in your budget that if there was a way for you to put a request in to transfer to another area and included where you're asking that money to be taken from, that sounds to me like, how it should happen.
And that's why I put the request in March, March 25th. Some departments put it in the last minute. I'm just trying.
Let me ask you a question. When you say you put a request in, you put a request in for supplemental funds, or you put a request in for transfer from group 1 to group 2? Those are two very different things. Right.
No,
so if you're asking for supplemental funds, you're asking for additional money from the county. If you're asking for a transfer from group 1 to group 2, you're not asking for anything additional. So just procedurally, which way are we talking about?
Procedurally, I sent everyone on this board, including yourself, Mr. Beckerman, a copy of what I sent to the commissioners. And in the very first paragraph, it says, given savings within group 1, the amounts requested may still be within the county's necessary and mandated funding to the registry. I can't make it any more clearer than that.
You're not answering the question.
Oh, you always say I'm answering the question.
You know what, Bill, I'm not going to argue with you, Bill, right?
Yeah. No.
All right, I asked you a simple question.
What's the simple question?
Did you request supplemental funds in March, or did you request a transfer from group 1 to group 2 or group 1 to group 5?
We were asked to make a supplemental request, and I asked that I needed these line items with the money.
Did you make it as a supplemental request?
And I said,
it's a simple question.
I responded to it. It went before the commissioners, and it says right in there, given savings within group 1, the amounts requested, it can be found within the mandated funding. There have been other times I have specifically told them what they maybe should do to solve the problem. And we know them, they don't want to solve the problem.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you have access to any other funds that don't require the approval of the commissioners? Do you have access to funds within the registry budget that you have control over that might cover this?
All monies through the registry budget have to get, initial, just like what's going on for fiscal 27. The commissioners, I send in a request. My request was higher than what was approved, of course, and then the advisory board gets involved. That's how it works. It's checks and balances.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've heard this before, but isn't there also an interest account that you have access to? Isn't there also a copy account you have access to? There's money out there that the registry has access to.
The copy account, that goes 100% to the county.
Okay, what about the interest account?
The interest account is 64D3, and that's usually for, I like to use it for technology and things like that.
So the short answer is you have that money, that interest account is money.
It goes through the budget process. And So are you saying, let me ask you a question, are you saying that the county mandate that by law the registry gets, you're saying that I shouldn't have access to that?
No, I'm not
county
talking
mandate?
about, I'm not talking about the county mandate at all. I'm talking about, is there an account within the registry budget that you have access to, that you could use this monies for shortfalls that you may have?
Why would you
rather
do
than
it?
go?
There are no shortfalls. There's a county mandate that by law you have to vote. The money is there in the county mandate and just allocate it to these accounts so it gets spent. There's 117. Why would I go into other accounts when we're not spending the county mandate, which by law, the county is entitled to? 64D, section 12B. Again, don't go by my say so. Go by the two cases, the two Superior Court judges that ruled against the county.
Okay, so the next question then, the next natural question would be to the commissioners. Was the request properly presented by the registrar for these funds? Well, I was asking the question, was it supplemental money or was it transfer? Supplemental money is additional funds to the budget. We all know that. All right, so any additional funds I would expect to be rejected. If we're talking about a transfer from group to group within that department's budget, was that what the request that was made to the commissioners? Is that the way you guys understand it?
I'd like to send it back to the county director.
I'm looking at the letter that the provided on March 25th to answer your question. It is titled FY26 supplemental request, $140,000. The register goes into the various categories you just mentioned, asking for supplemental funds for those. He does mention, as he just mentioned, a savings in group one, but nowhere in this document does he present the request for a transfer.
So it was
It is a supplemental request as defined in the title of the letter.
Was for a supplemental funds, which is which is additional money to your budget. It's not a trend. It's not a moving money from one side to the other. I think we need to sit down and figure out why these requests are being so convoluted. It seems pretty simple to me.
And I think it's pretty simple in my paragraph that I sent, everyone here got it, but you know, we're great at passing words. It says, given savings within group one, the amounts requested are still within the county's mandated funding. The thing is, if it's in group one, I can't access it for group two, or that you gotta move.
Without a request, that's my point.
Right, and transfers, just so we're clear, I can't transfer the money alone.
No, I know you.
Okay, all right, I just.
You can request from the commissioners to transfer from one group to another. But that doesn't sound like what you did. That's like,
you know,
I'm talking procedurally, Bill, all right? I don't disagree that you.
I wrote the letter
that's
on
fine.
March 25th, and now all of a sudden I'm being told that I procedurally didn't do something. March 25th, that letter was written. Plenty of time to come over and address, I mean, you know.
Have you ever done group transfers before?
What are you talking, within code? Yeah, remember I had to go up to the Supreme Judicial Court because
Forget about the court
the
cases.
block.
Have you, in the past, you've been registered for how many years?
Oh, wow.
Okay. Have
And
you
I've
ever
never had
done?
more difficulty
have
than
you
I've
ever-
had the last few
Have
years.
you ever done transfers within groups within your budget? In the past.
When you say within groups, within the group two or from 2 to 3?
From 2 to 3 or 1 to 5 or 5 to 6 or whatever number it is.
Sure. Recently, I tried to get money into, because by law, and let me be clear, this isn't just, yes, we're trying to get through June 30th. Some of this, by statute, we have to microfilm documents. By law, we have to make copies of indexes and print and things of that sort. And at the hearing, Mr. Cronin said it's all discretionary. I don't view following the law discretionary. And maybe that's part of the problem I have sometimes with the county, you know? It's about following laws. And that's why this money is, you know, that's why I'm trying to get money in these codes so that we, by law, can microfilm. To answer your question, there was a time I asked to move it from one code to another to comply with the microfilm, and it didn't get approved. And we know why things don't get approved, but it shouldn't, because the money was needed to microfilm. It's a statute. Whether I like to microfilm or not, by law, we have to microfilm every document that gets recorded there. So these monies need to be put in the codes so we can comply with the law. And I take that seriously, as opposed to what I heard at that meeting, which was, oh, it's all discretionary. It's not discretionary when it comes to following the law. It shouldn't be anyway.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Could I make one last statement?
Sure, Gus.
Before, you know, I've been listening to this for 3 years that I've been on the board, and I look at it and I suspect there's some other people in this room that have a certain sympathy for the logic. If there's, you know, this is gonna go around about what word did you use? You called it this, it's not that. If you are able to affect a transfer out of the money that you already have in your budget, and if you clearly articulate, I'm not interested in what's gone, the baggage that's gone under the bridge. I'm trying to figure out how to clear the air. If you're able to fund a transfer request out of money that you already have in your budget, and you make it clear that you're asking for a transfer and identify where that money in your budget should come from. I will say, as one member of the board, if you do that, I'll help you defend yourself if it doesn't happen. You got to know. And I don't know what I'm getting myself into in this room, but I'll do that in the interest of not having this. You run a registry. And the thing that drives me nuts is you have a good registry. This is a great county. And a big piece of it is because how the registry runs. And instead of recognizing that and figuring out how to make it all work, make it work easier for the commissioners, make it work easier for us, make it work easier for you, for the county director. There's a lot of baggage that's just muddy in the waters. And personally, I'd like to see us figure out a way to not do that. This one little piece about transferring funds in a budget that you already have money for, it sure sounds to me like that would be an easy place to start to improve things.
Well, thank you, Gus.
Mr. Chairman.
All right. Yes, Cal.
I'd just like to note, I agree with Mr. Murphy's logic.
Mr. Chair, one fast comment at the end, just in regards to that, not just get letter, it says regard just supplement request for $140,000. So my issue is, he did request in the first paragraph, he did request money. Okay, so he did request, did go to the commissioners on March 25th, outlining where he wants the money and where it's coming from. So to me, he made a request, the commissioners all of a sudden were tightening over here, okay? It's in the county director. So it's the commissioner should answer the question, not the county director. If they're the one that didn't follow, he did the request, he said right here, submit request. So he did request the money. So why is it being jerked around per se, not do this tonight? It's perfectly requested, request. And he gave the reasons why he wants it. Don't from the lawyer bill, that's a different issue, okay? But the other ones, he has the money. Why don't you do what we're supposed to do today? Because they didn't do their job over there. Sit there with three tight-lipped mouths over here, okay? And do the thing to Ron over here, okay?
Excuse me, Mr. Leader, what did you just say to me?
I didn't say you, I said, why did they?
No, you just used my name. Could you
I said,
explain again?
I said, yeah.
What did you say? Could you repeat what you just said? I did not hear you using my name. I asked you, excuse me.
They were tight-lipped over here.
And then you used my
They're
name.
gonna go to you. They're the.
Thank you. I couldn't hear you. I heard you say my name. I said,
Yeah,
excuse me, please.
They should make a decision.
Thank you.
Should have thought it to you.
Thank you.
They would come after the question, you know, I'll get your mouth off here, they can't open the mouth, okay? They're the ones that, the report was here, in writing, we all have it. Should have been done by now.
Commissioner Stady.
I just want to weigh in real quick. It's probably not going to be to the registrar's satisfaction, but we had a discussion at the meeting that Marguerite represented the registry at. And we had set aside $25,000 to fund some of those supplemental requests. We didn't identify where, we didn't line them up, but I had said, let's put some money aside for the registrar. And it was discussion went positive, but then we decided we'd take it up in May after this meeting was concluded. The other thing is that I'm concerned about is that we have a request for a IT upgrade, and we really didn't discuss that. And that's something that we need to kind of maybe make sure we discuss at some point, because someone's going to have to upgrade that. So you can't have a system not be upgraded. Somebody's going to have to do that. I kind of want to commend you for what you said. Okay, and I was like,
sure, what limbs I was wrong.
You know, when you sit here, the people would say, you know, you didn't do this, you did that. That's fine. You know, it's a hard job. We embrace it. We get it. It's fine. The thing that's complicated our whole situation is the fact that we have two lawsuits. Sometimes there are things you want to say and you can't say. There are sometimes areas you want to go down, but we're told not to go down. So it makes it difficult for us to kind of really speak when you have a counsel and other advice telling you, maybe, you know, hold on.
Point of order.
Yeah.
This entire conversation is out of order and should have been in an executive session.
Why?
Why? Because there's a potentially legal ramification. Again. I mean, I always felt when you're paying lawyers, you know, that's a wasted expense. 9 times out of 10.
Anyway,
I mean, we have the authority to go into executive session,
Yes, we do.
okay? And I think we probably should have invoked that sooner. And I think
I don't think this, I don't.
sounds like there's a lot of compromise in the wind now, from what I'm listening to. And I think maybe going forward, set up something like an executive session, and you could have a, subcommittee of the AdCom, the commissioners and the registrar, and get the damn thing fixed. Sounds like we got the money, just a case of, shuffling the cards.
Okay. Mr. Ryan, you had something as well?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do not have a motion on the floor, right?
We do
At the
not.
moment? Okay. I think we've really talked about this a lot, and I think I'd like to, I don't know if a motion to end discussion is appropriate so we can make a motion. If so, I'll make that motion.
I don't know if we need a motion to end the discussion. It's up to you. I'm gonna just say we're gonna end the discussion here. We'll go into, the next section will be the motions on the supplemental.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the supplemental budget as presented.
Well, Charlie, there's actually 4 separate motions here, so I have to go through each one. I apologize.
Okay, yep.
So I will take a motion to transfer the sum of $375,000 from funds declared surplus at the close of fiscal 25 to the county stabilization fund.
Second, I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Motion in a second. So this requires a 2/3 vote. So when you're ready?
This is the stabilization fund, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all set.
Avon,
Aye.
Bellingham, Braintree,
Aye.
Brookline,
Aye.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset, Dedham,
Aye.
Dover, Foxborough,
Aye.
Franklin, Holbrook, Medfield, aye. Medway,
Yes.
Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Aye.
Norfolk,
Yes.
Norwood.
Question, please. I'm not good on the computer. I'm so sorry, I'm not good on the computer. If help. Olga.
Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Helen, thumbs up or thumbs down on the motion? We can't hear you.
You come back to. She's on mute. Selectman, you're on twice.
Okay, hello. If we vote yes on this motion, does Mr.
I'm gonna
Olga
yes.
get the money that he needs? Hello,
I'm sorry, Helen, I couldn't hear what you said.
let me try. Now, can you hear me?
When you have 2 audio sources at the same time.
Want me to come back to Norwood? Yeah. Okay. Helen, we'll come back to you in a minute. Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph,
Olga.
Sharon, Stoughton, Walpole, Wellesley, Westwood,
Yes.
Weymouth,
Aye.
and Rentham.
Yeah.
Helen, Norwood, I think you asked a question about whether that 375,000 was where it was coming from, or you're on mute.
I asked the question about
Would the money that the registry be included in that money?
Hold on. Helen, are you asking if this motion has anything to do with the monies to the registry?
Yes.
All right, no, it does not. This is stabilization money.
Okay, thank you.
So we just need your vote. Are you in
No.
favor of transferring the $375,000? You're not.
Thumb down.
Thumbs down.
Okay.
All right, once again, I made a mistake. I didn't ask the finance committee for their recommendations. I apologize, Rick. But we'll do that real quick before we do the other three.
Okay, so that's a finance committee. Members pending for quorum. We did recommend the transfer of the $375,000 from funds declared surplus of fiscal 2025 to the stabilization fund. We also did recommend the approval of a transfer of $135,633.99 to be paid from funds declared surplus at the close of fiscal 25. We've also recommended approval to move $119,000 from, I'm not going to read that account, but the Superior Court HVAC project to the county opera interest account and a number associated with that. We also unanimously approved the recommendation to repurpose $54,944.93 from office equipment for the Norfolk County Commissioner's Office, which was appropriated by the advisory board at their September 25 meeting for use of purchasing office furniture and upgrades countywide.
Okay, thank you, Rick. So we had the vote. Do we have the 2/3, Phil?
Yes, we're getting that number. It is 67.27, yes, and 3.62, no.
So that motion passes. Next motion, I'll take a motion to approve the fiscal 26 third supplemental and transfer request totaling $135,633.99 to be paid from funds declared surplus at the close of fiscal year 25.
So moved by Braintree.
Second by Canton. Milton, I'm sorry. You guys sound exactly alike, that's why.
That's why we sit next to each other. But I look better.
True. Yeah. Gotta give you credit. There can be emotion, actually. Some levity to this.
Ready, set? Okay, Avon.
Aye.
Yes. Bellingham. Braintree.
Aye.
Brookline.
Aye.
Canton.
Yes.
Cohasset. Dedham.
No.
Dover. Foxborough.
Yes.
Franklin. Holbrook. Medfield, yes. Medway.
Yes.
Millis. Milton.
Yes.
Needham.
Yes.
Norfolk.
Yes.
Norwood.
No.
Plainville.
Yes.
Quincy.
Yes.
Randolph. Sharon.
Yes.
Stoughton. Walpole. Wellesley. Westwood.
Yes.
Raymond.
Aye.
And Rentham.
The vote is 63.77 yes and 7.12 no.
That motion passes. Next one, I'll take a motion to move to transfer up to $119,000 from account 301-605,036.000.80, the Superior Court HVAC project to the county opera interest account 400-000-4104-00-0000.
Braintree, so moved.
Pretty big things.
Yep.
For the advisory board's consideration on this particular vote, previously you had approved funding to support renovations, or in this case, HVAC upgrades at Dedham Superior Court. That project is no longer going forward. We recognize that we had approximately $119,000 from the ARPA interest account that was committed there, that was lying about. We want to claw it back into the general fund at this point so that it can be reused for purposes, including stabilization in the future. So that's what we're looking to do.
Seconded.
So it was motioned by, who motioned? Braintree. Who seconded?
Canton.
Carl.
Cal. Spread the wealth, right?
Absolutely. All right,
There you go.
so when Phil's ready.
Give it back.
I'm sorry. This is the upper interest, okay.
What's that? Avon,
Yes.
Bellingham, Braintree,
Aye.
Brookline,
Aye.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset, Dedham,
Yes.
Dover, Foxborough,
Yes.
Franklin, Holbrook, Medfield, yes. Medway,
Yes.
Millis, Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
Norfolk,
Yes.
Norwood,
Yes.
is a yes.
You said yes.
Norwood is a yes. Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy, yes. Randolph, Sharon,
Yes.
Stoughton, Walpole, Wellesley, Westwood,
Yes.
Weymouth,
Aye.
Rentham.
That was unanimous.
Okay. And last one, I'll take a motion to repurpose remaining funds in the amount of $53,944.93 from office equipment for the Norfolk County Commissioner's Office, which was appropriated by the advisory board at the September 2025 meeting for use in purchasing office furniture and upgrades countywide.
So moved, Braintree.
We have a second.
Quick
Second.
question.
I was gonna ask the director to explain this one. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Briefly, board members, this particular appropriation was provided earlier this fiscal year to fund renovations at 614 High Street, the Commissioner's Office. That building has not been renovated in approximately 36 years. That renovation included painting, cubicles, carpeting. That job is pretty much done. We have this amount of money remaining. And during the budget presentation process to the commissioners, many departments expressed an interest in upgrading some of their office furniture, similarly not upgraded in many, many years. We seek to use the balance of these funds for other department use beyond the original scope that you voted for earlier this year. That's all this is doing.
Did I hear right? This is for equipment?
Furniture,
What happened to the old furniture?
the old furniture.
Tell me the furniture that was there, could you keep using it?
So are you referring to what would be used or what has been, let me
This is
answer
a surplus.
both. In the case of the commissioner's office, the cubicle design is inefficient. The cubicles are breaking down. They're not functional any longer. They're being replaced under the original appropriation. Your motion before you is to expand the use of that money to other departments. Departments have requested additional chairs. Let me give you a good example. Our surveyors, our engineers sit in their chairs for hours at a day using CAD design to map out surveys and technical drawings for projects across the county, including any of your host communities. Their chairs are approximately $1,500 each. They're very, very high end. They provide support for individuals that spend that amount of time intensively in their chairs. That's just an example. But there's, I can't hear you, sorry.
Good ergonomics.
In many other ways, yes. Those are the high end chairs, but there are several others that we heard from, including weights and measures, maintenance, and I believe the golf course. It just came in and it was, I don't know, it's late, so I'll be a little jocular. It was weird. Everybody wanted chairs this year. I don't know how to describe it, but everybody independently wanted chairs. So we said, let's try to address some of the aging furniture needs in the county by using the surplus. So thank you for your consideration.
Okay.
And it does get surplused out. It's made available to communities if they want to use it, if there's any repair. Most of them are beyond useful life, to say the least.
Forever and a day.
Yes, I hope I answered your question, sir.
Good.
Thank you,
So
sir.
we have a motion and a second. Are we ready for a vote?
Sure. Yes.
All right. Avon,
Yes.
Bellingham, Braintree,
Aye.
Brookline,
Aye.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset, Dedham,
Yes.
Dover, Foxborough,
Yes.
Franklin, Holbrook, Medfield, yes. Medway,
Yes.
Millis, Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
Norfolk,
No,
Yeah.
yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
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 Norwood is a yes, and I heard a sorry from Norfolk. I think it's a yes, yes?
Yes.
That was a yes from Norfolk. Thank you.
Thank you. Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph, Sharon,
Yes.
Stoughton, Walpole, Wellesley, Westwood,
Yes.
Weymouth,
Aye.
and Rentham.
That is unanimous.
Okay, thank you. All right, last item, I'll take a motion on the meeting minutes of Norfolk County Advisory Board from Wednesday, December 17th.
Move to approve the minutes, Medway.
Second.
Motion and a second. Who motioned to second?
Brookline seconded.
You got that, Phil?
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
I gotta do the. Throw me a couple.
He's better than me, I didn't have it.
Right there. One second.
Phil, 5 more minutes and you can buy the donuts.
No, I started the phone thing. Oh, this is, I'm having a malfunction.
What was it, 11, right?
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure we can find a 24-hour one somewhere. I was surprised at how many kids in Avon did not go and get it. There was quite a few families that were very upset that one child got in, the other one didn't, the same family.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's not.
No,
That's right.
I'm sure.
She did it, so.
It's gonna be people. But I think the actual is this. They do. Oh, okay. Good way to grow some microphone and they always talk.
I'm sorry.
I got one of the, I can't hold it out. Yeah. Seems to have the.
Okay.
Avon,
Yes.
Bellingham, Braintree,
Aye.
Brookline,
You need to stop.
Brookline,
Aye.
Kent,
Yes.
Cohasset, Dedham,
Yes.
Dover, Foxborough,
Yes.
Franklin, Holbrook, Medfield, yes, Medway,
Yes.
Millis, Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
Norfolk,
Yes.
Norwood. Norwood, Ellen.
Helen, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up, okay, we got it. Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph, Sharon,
Yes.
Stoughton, Walpole, Wellesley, Westwood,
Abstain.
Weymouth,
Abstain.
and Rentham.
Excuse me, would that go for these cameras?
No, minutes.
Oh,
I have to change mine to abstain.
Foxborough changes to abstain. Good one, you would. Sure, they're going to.
I have 65-7, yes, 10.9 abstain.
Okay, Charlie, I know how much you like to motion for adjourn, so I'll let you do it.
So moved.
Second, Medway.
Motion and a second to adjourn. We don't need a full.
We've done both, it's up to the.
I don't think we need a formal vote for adjournment, right? Unless you plan on, you want to stay?
You do not need a
Voice vote?
formal vote for
Let a
adjournment.
voice vote for adjournment. Raise your hands.
Aye.
All right, good. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you all in May for the official budget meeting. For the,